Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we discuss all the latest in pop culture, news and reviews, TV and movie reviews, gaming reviews, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and as usual, I have with me my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, doing well. Busy week, and getting back from Easter and visiting family and everything involved there, travel and all of that, and just so many things going on. And there's all sorts of crazy things going on in the news too. Ca- Pope passing away, and wow, just yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, every day it seems like there's a lot of things going on. There's never a shortage for us to talk about stuff, uh, which is a good thing on one hand. On the other hand,
Yeah.
if there was a shortage, that means that we'd be like living like a very peaceful and very joyous time. It wouldn't be bad if we had nothing to talk about or we just
Yeah,
could
yeah.
complain
Well,
about some TV show or something, but
yeah. We could just i- we could review new Star Trek that was good. That would be amazing.
that would
We
be
could
nice. Yeah.
or new Star Wars that was good.
The Void King. Hi, Price. Hi, R2. Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, hey.
Yeah, so definitely. I'm trying to remember what our topics were. I don't know what that says about. Okay. So Trump versus Jerome Powell. That was our top one.
Ah, yes, yeah.
I mean, we've just recently been talking about it, and it looks like it keeps just heating up. Didn't he have more things to say about him? Didn't he call him a loser or something today?
Oh, God, what doesn't Trump have to say about people? Jeez. So
Well,
yeah, I mean, he's always yeah, I believe he called him a major loser. I believe
I knew it was
is,
something
is
like that. Yeah.
quote unquote, right? And this caused a bunch of people to flee the stock market and sell off a bunch of stuff. So that's the tariffs, and then it's verbally jousting with the with the head of the Federal Reserve. It's just wild, yeah. But he has also said, I believe he said he doesn't have any intention of trying to get rid of him, at least not yet. Uh, it's wild. There's so much going on. But yeah, let's see. I think I read an article. Where did I see something earlier?
Well, there was one thing that I guess this was already yesterday because he's been annoyed already for days. So let me just see if I can pull this one up. There was something here. I think it's this. Donald Trump Powell. Can you see it?
Oh nope. Presentation.
Oh, presentation.
Yep. There we
Only
go.
the best technology here at the Night Owl. So basically, it says preemptive cuts in interest rates are being called for by many. With energy costs way down, food prices, including Biden's egg disaster, substantially lower, and most other things trending down. Why is things in quote unquote? I don't know.
I don't know.
He is the strangest tweeter. He does like capital letters on strange things. There's
Yeah.
virtually no inflation. With these costs trending so nicely downward, just what I predicted they would do, there can be almost no inflation, but there can be a slowing of the economy unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest lowers interest rates. Now, Europe has already lowered 7 times. Powell has already been too late, except when it came to the election period when he lowered in order to help sleepy Joe Biden, later Kamala, get elected. How did that work out? You know, I've said this before that sometimes Trump has a very kind of colorful way of talking, but in a lot of times, even with how kind of bonkers he sounds, there's a grain of truth to something. I mean, I told you this the other day that there's a lot of times that I'm actually much more moderate than Trump, and I'll tell you that. And like, actually, when it comes to Jerome Powell and his cuts, I kind of think that he's not wrong. I do feel like before the election, he was doing all this stuff, which was sort of reflecting positively on Biden. And from that moment, he doesn't want to cut any rates, and that was even before the tariffs. You know what I mean? He's just there. I told you this, and sometimes there's things that I say that I don't have a full, like, it's beyond just an explanation, but just my sentiment. I don't love this guy, this Powell guy. I think he's annoying. And as much as Trump seems like he's being petty and maybe he's kind of being bonkers, in this instance, I kind of agree with him. Perhaps I wouldn't tweet this out or write whatever he wrote here. Maybe there's other ways, other other ways to like express yourself or handle it. But the bottom line is this guy, in my opinion, this Powell guy is annoying. The only silver lining is that SEC guy, the Gensler guy, he got rid of him. At least he managed to make him
Yep.
go away. That's a silver lining. But Powell seems to not want to budge, and I don't know how easily. I mean, we've talked about this before. Maybe there's ways for Trump to put pressure on him and make him go away. But the thing is that this is also making people on Wall Street, I think, very nervous.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
And
that they might be playing games with the Fed. It does not make especially the institutional investors, which are the ones that handle the largest largest amounts of money. It does not make them particularly happy to see that potentially they might be
It's
playing
not good.
politics with the Fed.
Mr. President, you said,
I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing him.
Mr. President,
It's not good.
Mr. President, you said,
I don't want to talk about that because I have no intention of firing him.
he said he has no intention of firing him. Did you hear it?
Yeah. I was gonna say I have a no, not window, Share
You can
tab.
share it if you want.
Share tab. Oh yeah, you have to switch over to it. But
Okay.
yeah, this was an article from published about an hour ago, saying he has no intention of firing Jerome Powell. Added that he would like Powell to be a little more active when it comes to cutting interest rates. I agree. It doesn't mean that those interest rate cuts need to be severe or need to be just sky high. Just a little more help push the economy back. I mean, obviously we've done a pretty good job. The federal government, the administration here has done a pretty good job of tamping down all of the inflation that was going on, right? And that's so yeah, let's start to bring those interest rates down a little bit more, start to get some more investment in business and so on, right? Yeah, he would like to be a little bit more active. Let's see. Last week, the president intensified his criticism of the Fed chief, calling him a major loser. Comments sparked a sell-off of stocks, bonds, and the U.S. dollar, but financial markets have since been recovering. So yeah, today did look a little bit better in the market, thankfully.
And the other thing that was interesting, I don't know if you noticed, but crypto actually seemed to go on a strange rebound over the past day or so, or day or two.
I haven't been watching the crypto markets. I got out of crypto a long time ago.
I understand, but
yeah, I ditched my crypto long ago.
See, the thing is that I don't know why I just noticed today that it actually went up. There was a while now it was going down, and suddenly, past day or two, it kind of went up. Some people think that maybe, I don't know if this is true, people keep hoping that Bitcoin will sort of decouple from the stock market, and then along with it, the whole crypto market. But the thing is that until now, you always hear about such things, but it doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
Now, at least for the past few days, there's been some, it's been sort of a rebound for the crypto market. There have been some stocks that have rebound also, but I don't know. It's hard because there's so much, instability still. The tariff thing has to kind of settle in, and there has to be some resolutions to that. And yeah, I mean, I understand why Trump is annoyed at Jerome Powell, but I guess that it's making people nervous that he keeps saying that he wants him gone. Personally, I have nothing good to say about Jerome Powell. Like like I said, I don't know why, but he annoys me, and I would hope that there would be somebody else there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Jerome Powell keeps claiming that he believes that all of this tariff business is going to cause more inflation. No evidence of that so far, especially since most of these tariffs haven't actually gone into effect yet. They're all kind of on hold. We can talk a little bit about the tariffs again here in a minute. I don't want to change topics here in the middle, but we can talk more about that. There has been some movement, some changes in that that were announced today. So, but yeah, it's there's so much going on with all the banks and everything. It's such a complex system, man. I got to tell you, having studied this stuff when I was in school, it's like, okay, wait, now which organization does what? And they take guidance from who, and then they do. Yeah, it's it's just so many moving parts in this financial market, and that would be again why especially institutional investors, ones that are taking out enormous loans and also lending money and stuff, that they're going to be really really mixed up by having threats of changing the Fed and stuff like that. That's not going to sit well with them. So yeah, I think I think they'll calm down eventually.
I think everything will calm down, but I do think that I don't know. Again, you can say there's things that you're not thinking about. You don't know what you're talking about, and maybe it would all be true. Also, nothing I say here is financial advice. I don't know anything, but what I'll say is that I think Powell could have been more generous with the cuts. That's what I think.
Sure.
You could say that you disagree, and that's fine as well. But I am for the cuts.
Bring on the interest rate cuts. We get more investment in businesses that way. More companies are taking out loans to expand and build and acquire new assets and stuff to help them
It's also
grow their businesses. So.
I think it's good for the housing markets. Like I think that people
Sure,
were trying to get loans and mortgages and things like that. This thing with the interest rates has been kind of a headache for a while, and you could say that there's a huge downside to doing the interest rate cuts, but I think that there should have been. And like I said, even before Trump's tariffs, he still didn't do it. And honestly, I can't even argue with Trump. I feel like when it was Joe Biden with his election, I do feel like Jerome Powell was suddenly, everybody was seemingly working for it to kind of look good for Biden. You know what I mean? I don't think it looked very good, but they were all trying. And obviously, like Trump gets elected and this guy becomes like Mr. Stingy with his cuts. It's like, dude, just shut up already and cut your thing. Like enough. I'm like Trump now. This is where we're at now. I've become like Trump. So something that I didn't have on my bingo card, in 1 second, I'm gonna say he's a major loser,
Oh, that's good.
But whatever. There's nothing we can do. I do think that Trump has a way of maybe getting rid of him. I know that it'll be like a constitutional thing, and everybody, oh, can he do it? Can he not do it? A Supreme Court, not the Supreme Court. I don't know who's going to argue about what, but I feel like, in his spare time, Donald Trump is thinking how he gets rid of this guy. At least he'd love to get rid of him. I don't know if he can, but I bet he would love it.
Yes, I'm sure he would.
But whatever. I mean, it's how do you think those tariff things is anything working out? Is anybody?
So yeah, I do. There's here. Let me pull up. I had a story here. Not my favorite source, but this is work.
What is it? It's like CNN. What is it?
No, it's Newsmax. They're pretty hard right, but it's
Caleb Levine said the Trump of reason. I'm a very moderate guy,
It's surprising how many how many more moderate people have suddenly become alt-right because now people on the left have gone so far left.
I guess so.
Not to say you're alt-right. I'm saying that's how they think of you now, right? If you're somebody in the middle, if you're a centrist, then you're far right now because you don't believe in all the wacky, crazy stuff. Did you see it before? As we were mentioning this, did you see the crazy stuff with James Carville late last week?
I saw something. Remind me what.
So James Carville was basically telling all these leftists that are sort of in charge of the Democratic Party right now, all the progressive wing of the party, that they should leave and go start their own party and leave the Democrats alone. That they should just let the Democrats, just like let them go back to being like their own, the Democratic Party before, and the progressives should go off and be their own thing.
And
there's a bunch of the current people who are in charge of the Democratic Party. So that, the different people who are in charge of the DNC were like, Carville's an old fool and whatever, which is hilarious because they love him, right?
Right. I
When he
mean, the
says
thing
things they love it.
the thing is, I mean, a few things can be true at the same time. I think he's not in more recent years when you see him talk, he seems he's not like on top of his game. I won't lie to you, but I think that one thing I kind of agree with him. There is probably an internal understanding, at least the people that are willing to recognize it, and maybe an older guy like Carville, that anybody there that was normal, they basically drove away anybody from that party that was like, halfway decent or a normal person, and they got left with all these like very, very hard left people that nobody feels that they connect with, except for maybe these kind of angsty teenagers or something that don't vote anyways. I mean, most of the people don't feel a connection to this party, and I think, relatively speaking, I think that the Republican Party. I don't remember when it's had this kind of support. Trump, they do a lot of polls, and a lot of times it's like they're like people are. There's even more people that approve of him now than ever. Maybe sometimes there's a day that are like, no, we did another poll and they don't approve of him. But generally speaking, I think the way that we can figure this out, he started deporting people and doing all this stuff and getting really tough on things and whatever, and like you don't see a million protests all over the place.
No,
You
no,
see the ones that are like trying to blow up like Tesla or whatever it is, but I'm saying generally speaking, if you remember the Summer of Love in 2020 and all this other stuff, I don't see that kind of like pushback. I think that there's a lot of people that are like, you know what, the immigration thing went out of control, and cleaning it up is maybe something that needs to happen. I think that there's a lot of people that are like, oh, the government is spending all this money for no reason, and somebody wants to stop it. And I mean, what are you going to argue about that? It's just that sounds reasonable. So, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I've told you before, it's not that I think everybody's perfect. I don't think Trump is perfect or Elon Musk is perfect, and anybody else, in politics. It's not like I understand how that system works, and it's not a perfect system. But generally speaking, these are things, cutting government spending and at the same time getting rid of people, especially if they're criminals here in the country, that are illegally here. I don't think that's a bad thing. It doesn't sound bad to me, at least.
No, no, and yeah, Carville, he's got a few screws loose. He's a little out there. Remember, he was prognosticating that the Trump administration would have collapsed as already, right? Like he was saying like 90 days and they're gonna fall apart. It's like,
Right. I remember he was saying all
okay,
this
sure,
nonsense. I exactly like he used to be a guy that I at least considered rather intelligent, but he doesn't even give off that vibe. But
yeah.
I will say that I think that he does realize, even with the minimal whatever he has going on for him, that the left has ruined their party. They've ruined that party. I don't know. Maybe it'll rebound. Maybe there's a way to rebound, but the more they go extreme, but the more they go hard left, I think the more they just push away people that may have, somehow been in that camp. Their alienation campaign has been going on for several years, and they have to work very hard to try to bring people back. Don't think that it won't reach that point at some point. I mean, I'm telling you that I think that like AOC is going to try to gradually over the next few years, we've said it before, like present herself as more of a center, moderate person. She is going to do a lot of like online stuff. Yes, I understand that when she talks, she doesn't seem very smart and she's also annoying. But at the same time, I've told you before that I don't underestimate her capability of like doing stuff online, even if it's bullshit. She does have an online following, and she's able to get to somebody. So if she goes that moderate direction and pretends she's more middle of the road, maybe at some point it'll help her. I hope
Uh,
not, because I
I
personally,
just don't think she can. I'll be honest. I don't think she can pretend to be this isn't this isn't the 1980s when you can try to remake yourself as somebody else. We've got all of her tweets. We've got all of her, stuff that she's said before. She tried to make the Green New Deal, which was a disastrous mess.
Disaster.
And I don't know, even if she tried, I'm not sure she could
It's not going to work
succeed.
on us. It's not going to
And
work on us. But the thing is, like, you're a very kind of intellectual type of intelligent person. There are
why,
people
thank you.
out there, and I think that a lot of people that watch this show are in that category as well. I would hope. I think at least that that's the type of viewership or whatever people that are watching this. But I'll say that there are some dum-dums out there that don't take interest in politics. They don't really know a lot, and you can just sell them some nonsense, and maybe they'll be able to package her and sell them to them. It's not going to work on us. We're not the target audience. You know what I mean? We're not the ones. We're never going to vote for her. It's not going to work on us. But
Yeah,
I'm saying there are some maybe younger, easily influenced dum-dums out there that maybe if she rebrands and presses the right buttons, they're not going to be checking her old tweets. They're not going to be Googling. They're not going to be checking anything, and they'll just accept whatever they're told, and they'll go, oh, well, she's kind of this and that. And maybe she's okay. Maybe we'll vote for her. But I certainly hope that's not the case. All I always tell you is that I don't want to underestimate anybody. I think that the worst thing you can do is just think, okay, this can never happen. Let's underestimate this person. I never underestimate. But I'm with you in the sense that I certainly hope that she wouldn't ever become president, because
Yeah.
that I think wouldn't be good.
I'm just not. I would say my counter to that. Not saying it couldn't happen. My counter to that would be you're talking about being able to appeal more to younger voters and so on. We've actually seen some very recent, just in this past week, surveys of Gen Z. In fact, the youngest of Gen Z, 18 to 21s, moving significantly to the right. And if I think it was 11.7 points now to swing to Republicans over Democrats. So that's huge. That's a seismic shift. Not that it couldn't change again, but there hasn't been a shift like that in this generation in a generation this
Since
young.
Ronald Reagan, maybe.
Since like Ronald Reagan. Yeah,
Ronald Reagan.
It's been decades since we have seen such a huge shift.
And Ronald Reagan also was a guy. He was an actor. He was initially, I think, a Democrat that shifted over to Republican. So he was that type of guy that brings a lot of people from a lot of places. And he also, I liked Ronald Reagan. Honestly, I know that there were some issues in maybe those later years, that there were maybe some things kicking in there medically, but generally speaking, I actually thought he was good. I liked him.
Yeah. I really did like Reagan. I still enjoy seeing some of his speeches, his talks from then. He was incredibly witty. Yes, as in his later years, he was struggling medically and struggling with some memory and stuff like that, which is sad, and perhaps maybe he should not have been serving, much like Biden, right? Maybe he should have stepped back and turned it over to his vice president or something. But yeah, now, have you ever seen the video of him he's doing a speech not long after he had that assassination attempt and was shot, and he's doing a speech. And during the speech, there's a balloon in the room that was used for decorations that pops, and it's extremely loud. You can hear it on the mic. It pops right in the middle of his speech, and he stops, takes one beat, and says, "Missed," and then gets right back into his speech. It is one of the most incredible, changing gears, like right in the middle of the missed, and then he goes right back. He doesn't laugh it off. He doesn't even wait for the audience to react. Just missed. It goes back to his speech. It's hilarious.
The thing with him is that if you see any kind of even casual interviews or whatever with him until this day, he always comes off as really kind of smart and has a certain likability factor. I don't know how he managed to balance between kind of being like, it's kind of very smooth the way he talks and all that stuff, but he's also like intelligent and I mean, he was a very popular president.
Yes, and he was very likable. He was very witty, and that helped a lot. Being able to just kind of sum up a situation in just a few words, right? It was really impressive. And even when he would debate people, there was the famous there you go again, they just like taking somebody, they're trying to nail home some point to him, and he's just like, yep, there you go again. That's you're just keep bringing up the same lazy thing, right?
He was like this likable grandpa, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know how else to describe him. He was like, he came off that way. I'm sure
Yeah.
maybe there's more to him than that, but he came off as this, like, America's likable grandpa.
Yeah.
What Joe Biden would have wanted to be, but wasn't. But like Ronald Reagan actually delivered that. Sean Green says he wasn't perfect, but we needed somebody like him at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, I mean, those years were great. Those years were like, there was a good atmosphere. I know it's strange to say it now. Like, I don't know, maybe I was young, but those years that he was in charge, there was like a good vibe.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
such a,
Yeah.
there was like, if today you look at like music videos and things from the 80s, everybody always seems to like have fun. I don't know how to explain it.
Mhm.
Even the movies from that time, like
Oh my
more
God.
creativity, more just like bonkers ideas. Man, think of the 80s, of how many great movies we got during the 80s.
Yeah. Oh man, I could spend my whole life just watching movies from the 80s. I could forget every other decade and just watch all
Right,
the
and
movies
there
from
was
the
something
80s.
like, there was a kind of fun about them. I
Oh
don't know how
yeah.
to explain it, but, like, that fun, it was fun here in the US during those years. I mean, I'm sure that saying that it's fun, it's not an umbrella statement. I'm not saying nobody had bad times or nothing bad happened to anybody, but collectively, there was this kind of playful fun in the air. Everything kind of was relatively positive just overall. Again, I'm not saying everybody has their own problems in their own life, but I can just say that, to say that the national mood or something, is that a good thing to say? I don't really know. And
Yeah.
some people that are maybe more wise asses will be like, well, it was nice for you, but think about all the, diverse people that it wasn't nice for, or whatever it is. But you know what? That was a breakthrough decade for a lot of them. You turned on the TV, there were videos of Michael Jackson every second. Uh, I don't want to say his name. Pudding Pop Man. Pudding Pop Man was huge. Prince, Whitney Houston, a lot of like very well liked sports figures. I mean, yeah, I mean Michael Jordan kind of went into the '90s, even though I think he started in the late '80s. But you had like the Lakers. I don't know. There was just Carl Lewis. I don't know. I just feel like there was a lot of, I don't know if to call it positive representation or whatever you want to say, but when I grew up, there was a lot of like, diversity, and all the people that were diverse and in the entertainment, like Eddie Murphy, all those people were super talented. We talk a lot about today, like DEI and merit and whatever. I think that in the 80s, we were full on merit.
Mhm.
Do you get what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say?
No, absolutely. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should have stayed. The cream rises to the top. The really good people, the people who are really talented and really skilled, are the ones that come to the top of their particular careers, of their particular area of expertise. Right? They should be right. That's what we should see.
Glass ceilings were shattered, but they were shattered with merit and like and talent, and there's nothing better than that. And with all of this kind of like recent years, or what you want to call the woke era, whatever it is, show me like an Eddie Murphy, you know what I mean? Show me like a Michael Jackson, or something like that. I don't see any of that. And even like sports players today that rise to fame or whatever, even they don't have, like, you look at LeBron James never gave off for me the kind of Michael Jordan vibe, or even like a Magic Johnson vibe. I don't know. You could say that maybe there's something wrong with me that I think that, but I feel like there was a generation of people that, like, in every field you had kind of diversity of people that were just excellent. And I don't see as much of that now. I don't know. Could be my imagination. Maybe I'm just grumpy and disgruntled and I'm not seeing things, but that's how I feel.
By its very existence and character, Berlin remains the most compelling argument for an open world. we're reminded of the many traditions of openness and democracy that have marked the history of this city. Amir missed me.
Yep.
Even his
Classic.
whole, like, you know, the way he handled that attempt on his life, like, he just
Yeah.
kind of brushed it off. I don't know. That guy was a unique guy. Yeah.
He really was, yeah. And
Stephen
okay.
Mack says LeBron says he says, okay, Empress and F says now we got Pedro Pascal, and then Stephen Mack says LeBron is more of a simple Jack vibe. Yeah, like
yeah, I had an old friend. He was my barber for years, and he spent every bit of his money that he had, and his wife came from a family that had money, and he kind of came from a family that had money, so they were pretty well off. And he ran his little barber shop, but he made friends with everybody, and he would get tickets given to him with the local college, local university, by the athletics department. They would give him tickets to like go to the Final Four. So he would get to go and go to these big things. And one year he went to the Sweet 16 and he sat next to LeBron James and got to meet before he was big. Right. He was just a college player at the time, and he got to know him. And he says he was a pretty good kid, but he wasn't sure how well he would do if he got into the NBA. He probably might go to his head. That's what he had to say about him.
and I think that was a fair assessment.
Yep.
Listen, it's not that obviously Michael Jordan had a lot of confidence too, but there was something about the way he would carry himself that I don't know why. I can't really explain it. I think he also was very careful about things he said to the press and how he carried himself. Like he knew that people were watching, and I think that, you know, he came with, he wanted to win, and he maybe if you were a teammate of his, he'd be very hard on you because he'd want to win all the time, and maybe that was difficult for some people. But at the end of the day, he delivered results, and there was a way that he carried himself that was very kind of cool. And I don't feel that coolness from LeBron James personally. I don't know. It's fine if you like him. It's nothing personal. I always get this kind of not fun feeling from LeBron James. Like, even now, if you said you can have a beer with Michael Jordan or with LeBron James, Michael Jordan, no doubt, like, I'll have a beer with him. I'll be happy too. LeBron, it's like, I don't know.
Yep. We do have we've got a super chat.
Wow.
And we also have Vex dropping some facts about price in the chat here.
We have a
had
few
no idea,
super chats.
Friend. Oh.
I think we have a few super chats. Let me see for a second. Oh, sorry. We only have one, I think. I was looking in the wrong place. I'm all over the place. What was Vex saying?
Telling us all about the feet pics you sent her. I don't know.
I sent feet pics. So Istophobos says AOC will never be able to pull off authenticity. Listen, it's not gonna work on us, okay? We're not gonna vote for her. She's not gonna impress us. I'm concerned that there's some dumb TikToker somewhere that'll be impressed. I know that's a strange thing to say, and MJ was respected. That's true. Somebody mentioned Magic and Bird didn't need no Pippin. Listen, Magic had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He had James Worthy. I can't say that he didn't need anything or didn't do anything. Also, you know, Larry Bird, he had, I think, was it Kevin McHale?
Mm-hmm.
He had a few people, you know, in his corner as well. None of these people, you know, worked in vacuum. I sent Finn pics. I sent it. I'm not sure that I did, Vex. Vex is I don't believe you. By the way, Vex, I would invite you, but you're probably already in bed because I know you like to fall asleep while I talk, which is very strange. That is a very strange thing. but I'm going to take it as a compliment. When I think about you falling asleep with me talking, I feel like, it's a good thing. The professor is talking too, so he too is putting you to sleep. Yes, I didn't mean to take that away from you, Professor.
Yes. No, that's okay.
So,
I haven't sent her any pics of me. I know that much.
Nobody has ever seen me so nobody ever seen my feet.
Yeah. I would imagine it looks something like Darkman's feet, apparently. Yeah.
There's one thing that I'll tell you though, that there is a person. I think I probably told you this before. There is one person out of all the people that I interact with online. There's one person on Twitter that I follow him and he follows me. Many years ago, we actually met in person. I know who he is. He doesn't know who I am. That's strange, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is that he happened to end up in the same circle, sort of. You know what I mean? It was an organic meeting of a person that I've actually met many years ago. Who in real life I actually I think I probably wasn't nice to him. I kind of regret that. But there's nothing I can do. I can't change it. And I also can't tell him that I am sorry, because I would then have to tell him who I am.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So it's a very strange situation, but that does exist. There's one person. I out of all the people on Twitter, there's one person that is that, and that's one case, and there's another person that I once was involved. I sort of know who he is. We've met. There's another person that I've met in real life that followed me and doesn't know that I'm me, but I don't know that person very well at all. So, I mean, this is a very small percentage, though. I think I have 9,800 something, whatever, on Twitter. So what's 2 out of 9,800? That's a very small sample size, right?
Yeah.
So that's an 0.000.
0.0002 something.
Something like that, yeah. But it's still interesting, you know what I mean? It's interesting. I find it fascinating, you know what I mean? How people can find their paths cross, even under different identities.
Mm-hmm.
It's a strange thing. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Phantom Monk wants to know if I was sharing wiring diagrams with Vex. But no, Vex says she got some pictures of my hot buttons and they were moist. Well, no, Vex, I'll send you some pictures of me in a restraining bolt. You'll like that.
Well, somebody asked here something good. How the heck could somebody not recognize Price's voice in a hot minute? That is a good question. But the reason is that one person I had a very brief interaction with, and I understand why. I have a pretty good memory. So I remember, but he probably doesn't remember. The other person, it's been many years. If it hadn't been so many years, I think that person would have connected 1 + 1, but hasn't. And yeah. It is what it is. That one is a really long time. I'm talking about decades with one of them. And again, my memory is good. I remember exactly who he was, what my interaction with him was, but it is what it is. And in any case, I apologize if I ever behaved rudely. I apologize, although the apology is going nowhere. I'm basically just apologizing to you, Professor. No, it's better than nothing, though. And
you apologize to Sean. We do that all the time.
Sorry, Sean. It's the Phobos. You both have soothing voices, Professor Arturo Price of Reason Live. Thank you. That's what we're going for, the soothing late night conversation. And speaking of that, so we talked about Trump and his things, and I think the next thing is interesting. Did you see that the guy, the boss, the producer of 60 Minutes has resigned?
Yeah, I did see some stuff about that.
That is actually pretty good news.
Yeah, I thought I pulled up an article about that earlier, but
he apparently quit. but it's a weird type of quit. It almost feels like a quit that's also kind of a firing, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think he was saying specifically, he said something to the effect of, "Oh, well, I can't, journalism, blah, blah, blah. I can't
Here,
run
he
the
can no
newsroom
longer
the
run
way
the
I
show
want
as
it."
he always has.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like I'll tell you what the problem is. Let me just quickly scroll if I can see it here. But I'll tell you what my issue is. Uh, First of all, obviously, for those who don't know, there is a legal dispute between 60 Minutes and between Donald Trump because what happened was is that during the campaign for the elections, they ran an interview with Kamala Harris. Initially, I think that Trump thought of doing an interview with them. They were supposed to do one with him and with Kamala, but he didn't. For some reason, he said he didn't trust them and he didn't want to do the interview with them. In the meantime, what they did was they interviewed Kamala Harris, who we all know is not the best interviewee, and they very, very clearly, and I think it's been pretty much proven very clearly that they re-edited that interview in a way to make it seem like she's answering some questions, even though they were using different answers and sort of manipulating her answers. Now, the reason why this is an issue is because if you're like a major network and people take what you're doing seriously and that they think that this is like a real interview and you're basically manipulating it to make a candidate look a certain way, it's not even just editing for time, which you could say, well, they don't have time to show the whole thing, it was edited for time. Once they're placing answers to one question and another question, that starts becoming an issue. Am I right?
Hmm.
So at this point, I think that he's suing CBS, and I think that you could say whatever you want about him. He sued. It was ABC, got money out of them, and I think that there's a chance that CBS and 60 Minutes are also in the hot seat because you're not supposed to do that. So this
No,
guy, this Bill
no.
Owens guy, he's like, it's become clear that I would not be allowed to run the show as I've always run it, to make independent decisions based on what was right for 60 Minute, right for the audience. Again, what are you even talking about? You took an interview of a candidate, and I would feel this wasn't a good idea, even if it was a candidate for another party. It's just that if you're pretending that you're a legitimate, serious show and you're doing an interview with a candidate, and you're just sort of chopping up the interview in some weird way and doing it out of order in order to make it seem like she can answer questions, that's a major issue. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, this
Yeah.
isn't he's making it seem as though, like, he wanted to report a story about kittens that, like, that are being genetically modified or something, and they're like, "How dare you talk about these kittens?" This isn't the case. He's not trying to, like, break some, like, crazy story, and they're, like, keeping him from doing his job. Basically, he's like, "They're not gonna let me, like, manipulate interviews and do whatever I want and try to fool people." It's like, dude, why would anybody let you do that? And I personally think that they kind of pushed him out because they don't like this lawsuit. This lawsuit may end up with them having to pay money. And it's like we were talking about Kathleen Kennedy, that I told you that at the end, if push comes to shove in a lawsuit and it feels like they have no choice when they're really, really in trouble, if there's discovery and people want to see those emails and there's something bad about them, then I think at that moment, Kathleen Kennedy will have an announcement that she's decided to step down, and maybe it won't seem as ugly as what you see here, but they're gonna make an effort to make her go away so that if whatever happens in that trial, they could say, "Listen, judge, we removed this person. This person isn't there anymore."
Hmm.
It's you'd think that it doesn't matter, but I think it does matter. It always seems better when it seems like, well, that person did something bad. He's not even here anymore. You know what I mean? It makes it seem like now there's a new reality. And I personally think that they wanted this Bill Owens gone. Now, do I think that CBS cared that he was doing all of this, whatever he was doing? Probably not. Probably they didn't care. But once there's a lawsuit, very quickly, once there's a lawsuit, people are happy to throw somebody under a bus, and I feel like this guy's getting the major heat here.
Yep, it was a real debacle after they, finally showed off the footage that they had available, that they cut out and everything. That it was fairly obvious that this was not an edit that was made for time. This was an edit that was made to make her look better during the interview, right? It was not just, oh, we have to edit every interview for time. Well, yeah, yeah, but you edit it so that the answer to one question you
Right.
use as the answer to a different question. and you cut out all of her mealy-mouthed nonsense that she tried to answer the previous question, which was basically a non-answer, right? That's dishonest. So I think there's definitely something to the claims saying how this was deceptively edited, that it was done to the benefit of a particular candidate.
I think
It
they
was
were
not
asking
done
about the middle.
fairly.
Was it
Yeah.
the Middle East that they asked her something and they pasted like the answer from somewhere else?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, there was like a question and a follow-up question. And if I remember, I think it had something to do with Gaza, with the watermelon loving people, and something in that area about Middle East peace and whatnot. And yeah, they
She said she loved watermelons.
so they asked the question,
Just
and
kidding. I don't know.
then they showed like a chunk of her answer, and then cut it, and then showed an answer to the totally different question. Right, like a follow-up question he had made. So yeah, it was a pretty deceptive edit. I mean, they did not do as some people had said, and like took her answer from a different part of the interview and then inserted it in there to answer a different question. They didn't do that, but they did leave out a lot of context in what was actually being said, and that the answer that she was giving was not actually directly connected with that. Uh, so yeah, it was definitely strange, and it's not surprising at all that this would in some way actually uh, lead to CBS actually having to say this was a problem. You caused this problem. We have to fix it now.
Right. I
Because
mean,
yeah,
if
this
nothing
lawsuit,
else,
guys, this lawsuit started as a $2 billion lawsuit, and it just kept growing.
right. I mean, honestly, I don't think that they're going to end up paying him $20 billion. I don't think they're going to pay him $2 billion. But
No.
this lawsuit isn't good for them. They're going to have to pay him something. I think. I think that they're in a pickle here, and everybody saw what happened there. It doesn't help that she wasn't able to answer anybody. She was such a bad interviewee to begin with. But that one was clear because they were so sloppy. Because I think that in the promo, you saw the real answer. And then by the time they aired it, they chopped it up and like put a different answer in there, which really, if you think about it, is idiotic. Like what? They thought nobody would notice that you did that?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, how did they think they would get away with it? They already, once they showed a promo that shows one thing, that's how they needed to air it. They couldn't show a promo that the real answer is being answered crappy, and then like once you get to the show, it's like cleaned up. That is really, if that was under his watch, just for that alone, forget about like the ethical thing that is bad. Just for not being able to even monitor and execute this sham well. Even for that, I would fire him. You know, do you get what I'm saying? If let's
Oh yeah.
say I don't want to be a sham guy, you know what I mean? But if I was a sham, like if I was like running a scheme and this guy was my top guy and he put out like something where you see a teaser and you see the real footage and then in the real show you have a different thing, that guy is fired. You know what I mean? He's not a good sham person. He didn't execute the sham to my liking. Do
Mhm.
you, do you
Yes.
get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
He's not a good he didn't do a good sham. His sham was weak. It was a weak sham. And I'll tell you the final thing, and I've told you this before. This guy felt free to just like chop up and put the wrong answer and whatever. I like on Price of Reason on my YouTube channel, not like CBS on a major network. On like my YouTube channel, like the one with the movie reviews or whatever. Even the one that sometimes if I go to like a Comic-Con and have an interview, I wouldn't feel good about like chopping up answers and pretending somebody answered this or that with just some comic book person that I met. You know what I mean? So if I wouldn't feel good about some, pretty insignificant in the big picture thing, the fact that he felt that he could do this with a presidential candidate, for a campaign for elections, that is crazy. And if this guy doesn't understand what he's done wrong, he definitely shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
just you know what? He didn't realize that the times had changed, that today with social media and with, the way people share information, the second that you had the teaser and then the interview was different, he was done. He
Yep.
wasn't aware
Yep.
of like modern technology and how things really work, I guess. I know that sounds shitty.
Or that people are apparently even paying attention to his show.
Right. I mean, yeah, or that anybody's paying attention. But yeah, it became a big deal and people were paying attention. And I agree. The truth is that the media, we know this because of the way we've seen them report movie stuff. The media has been really annoying for probably forever, but for the mainstream media, the legacy media, for several years. Uh, like for me, it goes back to those kind of movies that we'd say we don't like this movie, and then you'd see an article. All the ists and phobes hate this movie because they're terrible people. They did this time and time again. I don't have any faith in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, these days, I see something and I don't even know. It's sad because you want to believe that at least something they're reporting may be true. But now, like, every single thing that's reported by them, I'm sort of like, there's a huge grain of salt. Like, I don't know. You're always thinking, who printed this? Who's behind it? What could have been their motives? Maybe they're not telling the truth. These are things that actually go through people's minds today. And I think that's a good segue for our next thing. I don't know if you noticed, Pete Hegseth, there's more issues with him. It's like
Oh my
every day I
goodness.
see this
Yes.
thing where they want to fire him for some signal chat. Do you see? Did you keep seeing that?
Yes.
And I don't know what to make of it. Like, honestly, if this was like 10, 15 years ago, I'd be like, well, he probably did all of that. Like, I totally believe the mainstream media. Now I'm like, are they just trying to dig up more stuff, or is it really happening? Did he do it? Did he not do it? I'm not 100% sure. Not that I know that he's great or not even not great. I can't even say. I just don't know. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
What do
No,
you think? What do
it's
you?
the whole thing with Pete Hegseth. The left smells blood in the water. The first thing that they had, they want. Well, the truth is, they want Donald Trump, right?
Sure.
But if they could take out one of his supporters, someone who's loyal to him, someone who's in a cabinet position, they can take them out with the help of the media and everyone else, then they're going to do it. And so there was this first thing that happened with the signal chat and whatever, and they thought, oh yeah, we've got him. He's he's revealing state secrets on a signal chat or whatever. And it turned out there was absolutely nothing to it. It was ridiculous. There was really nothing to it at all other than, somebody added the wrong person on the wrong chat or whatever. And then they didn't do anything specific like state secrets. So they just said, there's attack is happening at this particular time. It's moving forward, whatever. And now they came back and now there's somebody, an anonymous source, by the way, anonymous source, and only one saying, oh, did you know he created another signal chat that had his wife and his son in it? And he was talking about state secrets there too. Which there's absolutely no corroborating evidence for at all. It's nothing more than rumor. One anonymous source is nothing. So no, this is all silly. They're doing their absolute best to try and blow this up. And yeah, how curious that NPR, which may very well be on the chopping block in just the next few months, as far as federal funding goes, is the one that's been pushing a lot of this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem here is that I don't really trust these sources, and you see a lot of them. This is something I've been seeing for the past few days. All these exclusive things, quote unquote. The White House is looking to replace Pete Hegseth as defense secretary. I've heard reports today that, like, on one hand, Trump, when you ask him, he's like, I fully support him 100%. I'm in his corner. And then you still hear rumors that even though he's saying that, behind the scenes, he's already kind of looking around for a replacement. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure. You know, initially when the first signal thing came out, maybe they're starting to fool me, these like mainstream media ones. But initially when it came out, I thought, nah, I was like 90% sure that the guy stays. I thought maybe if there was anybody they'll get rid of, it was some other guy, Michael something. I don't know what it was. Thought that they'd like unload him. But then the more I saw like in recent days, the more I started thinking, is there any truth to this? Maybe there's like, a bigger chance that he's looking to replace him, but I don't know. I honestly just don't know. We'll learn soon enough. I mean, if this is a serious thing, then I suppose within the next week or two, we'll see some kind of development. And if we don't see anything, I'll start to think that these people are just talking crap and don't really
Yeah.
have anything concrete to say. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
If
and
I were him, though, I would stop sending signal chats. Whatever he was doing, he shouldn't do that.
yeah.
If I were him, I wouldn't do that. But aside from that, if they can keep like the communication thing in a more secure way, I think aside from that, I don't really, none of this is just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, and he did. Hegseth. Someone mentioned this. I think it might have been Istophobos. He did recently, get rid of 3 different aides from the Pentagon. It's quite possible that one of those disgruntled aides is the anonymous source that is being quoted by people. There's some great insight here in the chat. Folsom Lockdown says they're trying to move back to Hegseth since they started to figure out that the Maryland man story is backfiring on them massively. Yes.
The
Yes,
Maryland dad. The Maryland
yes.
dad.
Oh,
That is
yes.
the dumbest story I've ever heard, the Maryland dad. That's really, really dumb.
Oh, yeah. No.
By the way, let me see for a second. Elizabeth Quinn says, let me explain. Having lived in the swamp, no one is your friend. DC makes Hunger Games look like a rom-com. I believe that. I can believe that. It seems like that kind of place. And yeah, I don't know what to say. I at this point I don't have a lot of faith in the mainstream media, but we'll keep an eye on it if there's any, hard to trust NPR here. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's. It's not to say, it is entirely possible. I'm not gonna lie. It's entirely possible that maybe Hegseth is just not cut out for this role. Maybe he is. He's not keeping it together. Maybe he's, not engendering the trust
Wait,
of the people
Ron
under him. I
Donofrio,
don't know.
gotta hit the second night, everyone. Thank you, Price of Reason Live and Professor R2. And of course, chat, everyone hit like. Thank you. That's a friend of the channel. Just wanted to give him a shout
Yes.
out. Go, continue on. I apologize.
No, thank you, Ron Donofrio. We appreciate it, and have a good night. Yeah, no, I'm saying, that it's entirely possible that Hegseth, maybe he's not cut out for this position. Maybe this is too much for him. That happens. That does happen. But I don't think that Trump is ready to throw him out just yet. I think there's a little bit more time here before something like that's going to change. He needs to lock it down, though. He's got to get rid of these leaks that are coming out of the Pentagon, and he's got to pull his own behavior together so that he's not getting caught in these sort of silly, just ridiculous little stories that keep cropping up. But yeah, it's the whole just single anonymous source thing that always pisses me off. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth Quinn. So he mistakenly trusted fellow vets. Can't do that in DC. Rookie move. Well, that's always possible. He's
Could
never
it
been in a
be-
position this high up before. So
Could it be that the people that he fired, those aides, were one of those people that put the Atlantic newspaper guy on the chat? Because that is a very strange thing. I mean, I know that there could be an accident where suddenly you bring the reporter from the Atlantic, but man, that has to be the most bizarre accident ever. And one that doesn't even make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, how sometimes you watch, like you used to watch maybe House of Cards, and they do something and you're like, oh, okay, we know that he manipulated this. That's what that Atlantic guy being on the signal chat feels like to me. Like the reporter, that Jeffrey Katz or whatever his name is, that he's suddenly on that chat is very, very odd.
yeah.
It is
Really,
very
really.
odd. It's like if you would have told me that like there was an Uber driver and he had his number and he accidentally attached him to the thing, I would have believed that more than he accidentally put like the guy from the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? That like
Yeah. No, yeah.
I can understand that a stupid mistake happened, but if a stupid mistake happened, it was like it was the security, all the people, and then like somebody's nanny. Okay, then I'd be like, okay, I get it. This is really dumb. I get what happened here. This isn't a nanny. This isn't like some thing, or he put on a relative of his by accident. This is none of those things. He took a guy that seemed to have nothing to do with this and have like the most reason to want to write about this in his newspaper, and that guy ended up in his chat. It's just really odd. You know what I mean? Like, yes, strange things have happened in life. There's a chance, maybe like a 5% chance that this was really an accident and they somehow put him on the chat. But honestly, 95% tells me that there's something super fishy about it. I don't always want to be a conspiracy theory guy, but it's just strange.
Yeah, no, it's definitely strange that would happen. The story that we just got the wrong email address in there, or something.
We just
the
have
wrong username in there.
Yeah, no, we brought in the guy from the Atlantic so he can write the article. It's just that almost seems like some disgruntled person, like maybe some hacking. You know what I mean? This looks like in the movies you'd see a team of hackers set this up, and like this would be a funny funny moment in the movie where they're setting this up on purpose to like take down the other guy. That's what it feels like, but that's what it seems like to me. What do I know? I will say this though, we also today had a premiere of a new show. We had Andor, right?
Yes, yeah, we got Andor.
We had Andor, and I watched the first episode. I almost finished it, but then I had to start the stream. I understand you watched the first episode.
Yeah.
I want to also invite here, if I can find him. Give me 1 second. I want to invite a friend to talk to us about this because he also watched it, and I said that we could have a cool conversation. So I'm sending him the link right now, and hopefully he'll join us. And
yeah,
yep, I sent him an invite, and hopefully we'll see him soon. If he didn't fall asleep.
We did get the new season of Andor started today. Yep. So I was gonna say while we wait for Isfos, but he's here. So,
I think I have to find his no, that's Vex.
Oh, you can put Vex up there. That's fine.
Yeah, here you go.
My little patch.
Yeah, here you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah. Professor, can you hear him?
I can.
Yeah, I can hear you, Stephobos. What's up?
Yeah. I think you're right.
About what?
I think you're right that it's possible that one of the aides. Oh, about Pete Hegseth and his aides.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I had the stream going. It was echoing. With the making the connection between the fact that one of his closest aides and the signal chat error, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty sharp connection to make. And I think they just fired all three of them because they knew that one of them had to be the leak, but they're not sure which one. They're still investigating, but they couldn't afford to keep anyone around.
I understand.
Quite possible.
And expect to see some charges coming out against one or more of them, and possibly the ones that aren't that don't have any charges brought against them. They may or may not return in some form or capacity. I think this was just we've got to shut this down right away, because there were definitely some serious leaks coming out of the Pentagon, and that was just that can't happen. The thing about Panama that NBC had, and there's only a few places that could have come from, and they definitely that's definitely something they should not have known.
Yeah, well, I hope they manage to steal these leaks. I don't think it's good, all this stuff. And if there's any lesson that he can learn, Hegseth, I think it's like to keep things under wraps, confidentiality is very important. That's a lesson that I think he has to learn, no matter what happened and who did it. And even if somebody did this on purpose to damage him, he has to learn the lesson here. Everything has to be really secure. And if there's leakers or people like that, then they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, they have to stop being lazy and using their phone, because they all have a communication specialist that travels everywhere with them. And that's their one job, to communicate securely with everybody else. But I think they just get a little lazy and they want to use their phones.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, I understand
teenagers.
that. We live in a modern time. I mean, if they could have maybe I'm gonna say something because I don't know the technology here and I could be an idiot, but if they could have had their own like network that other people can't be on, but they can send themselves something. I don't know what that would entail, but if such a thing existed, I think that would be good.
Yeah, actually, I think that's in development right now. There's no reason they couldn't have their own private exclusive app to run on the phones.
Like the red line. What used to be like the red line? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There used to be a thing where it's not like connected to the phone company, but you call it and there's like a different network. There used to be things like that, especially in
Oh,
military. I think it's the red line. Am I saying something that is that a
yeah.
legit?
Yeah, it's definitely I forget the word of the system they use now, but this is something that probably should have been developed during the Biden administration, but they weren't the most technologically forward
No, they weren't doing anything.
administrations.
He was barely even there. So I don't think that was the time to introduce such technology. But generally speaking, I think that something like that would be a good idea. Like that they wouldn't use like a signal or anything like that, but there would be something that they use that's their own encrypted thing, that it's like a very closed circuit app that they do and they talk to each other and that's it. And if you can create something like that and they can have it, I think that would be a high priority. You then have to just make sure you have good security, that people can't hack into it and things like that. But that's generally what you're looking to do. Or even something that like you do the chat and then it self destructs. I know the Telegram has self destruct mode. I'm not mistaken. I think that they should also have. I know that maybe for public record, maybe it doesn't work that way. Maybe see that's where the problems start, because you need to have it on record. So I don't really know exactly. Maybe it gets printed out and filed and then it gets deleted. I don't really know what to tell you. Somebody smarter than me has to come up with an idea here, but there has to be like a closed circuit line of communication.
Well, they have one of those, but it hadn't been integrated into the phones yet, which is why there's a guy with a suitcase that has to follow them around. It's the same technology that the nuclear football uses. But it's secure, but it's older. And the fact is the cell phone is it runs on something called System 7, and it is not secure.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into the technical details of it, but you can Google it and see. Basically, with the right information, somebody can hijack your phone number on any cell phone network in the world. And all of a sudden, everything that was supposed to be going to their phone would end up coming to the one you specified, which is why the government and the military are not allowed to use SMS as two-factor authentication.
Yeah. SMS is especially easy to intercept because of the way that SMS works. It's actually a back channel built into the systems. The actual I believe it's called Signal System 7 is the full name for that system. And when it comes to voice calls, it's actually fairly well encrypted, but it's also open to man-in-the-middle attacks and things that could potentially lead to you could have one number redirected to another phone if you have the right access to systems on the back end of those carriers.
Right, exactly. If you're on the call, it's secure. But if somebody does the little back office hack and swipes your number, you'll never even get the call.
Yep. No, I know someone who's had their number cloned and stolen. Yeah, it was a mess. And so,
Well, you think though the American government
yeah,
has to find a way to make this work. It's not like you and I talking or us three talking about it. They have the tools, they have the capability, and they should come up with something that's very secure, confidential, and that is in order to avoid a situation like this in the future. I
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
understand. I can understand why people want to work with their phones or with a phone. You know, it's we live in modern times, and you want to do that, and you want to act quickly and talk about things quickly and move quickly, and I can appreciate all of that. I just think that they need to also quickly put together this secure system of communication.
Yeah, ironically, the old BlackBerry systems were very secure, and they had their own little military government subnet with Blackberries. But they've
yeah,
sent who's who's got a BlackBerry anymore? So yeah, I at least would hope that they're in the process of doing that. This should definitely be the wake up call, and they're lucky that nothing really terrible happened about this. But human human intel is always going to be the weak link, and that's what they had to do. That's what Hegseth just had to do. As basically, it could be any one of you guys, so you all have to go for now, at least,
yeah.
Right.
because the weakest link is always going to be the people, social engineering and stuff.
Oh,
Like
absolutely. Yeah.
It reminds me. It reminds me of something that happened to me. But before I actually tell you, I think I've told you this before, but I'll tell you this because maybe I told the professor, but I'm not sure. But I'll tell you this: is to Phobos. Uh, oh shoot, what was I going to say? We were to the BlackBerry. Okay, so I used to have a BlackBerry, and I really really loved that BlackBerry. And I'll tell you what, uh, it's rare. It's rare what happened with Steve Jobs and Apple and the iPhone. But man, that guy released that iPhone and overnight killed the company. Like BlackBerry, until the moment that the iPhone came out, was riding high. It looked like you couldn't even get in their way. They were just such a powerhouse when it came to all those businesses and to that kind of communication. They were at the top of their game. He released that iPhone and they were done. Do you
that.
remember
Yeah,
that?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No,
Nokia too went out of business pretty much overnight.
yeah. It took a couple of years for the last lingering users of BlackBerry to disappear. But yeah, the biggest problem with that was really a technical one. You when you had a BlackBerry, you had to have a separate system that managed. Basically, you had to pay for a whole separate server to handle your email. You couldn't just connect your email directly to Gmail or whatever. You had to have a whole nother system on the back end to manage all of that stuff and your contacts and everything. So if you had a BlackBerry, you then had to pay extra for that to work. And then when they brought in the iPhone, and once the App Store launched a year later,
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, nope, there's your mail app, there's contacts, there's all this other stuff, and it all just syncs with all the systems that are out there." And so then everything just fell apart
I
because
gotta give credit to
yeah,
Steve Jobs. Gotta give him credit. I mean, of course, he didn't do it alone, and he had his team, but he was the guy at the top of the pyramid. He
yeah,
did launch that product, and he blew all of his competitors out of the water so quickly. In a way, like I don't think that since the iPhone, I've seen such a kind of industry takeover that was that quick than that. That
oh yeah,
really
yeah.
was something. It's not something you see every day.
He
Well,
went down faster than MySpace after Facebook took off.
yeah.
Right.
Uh,
That was the. It's like they couldn't recover. Suddenly, if and really, I'll tell you the truth. Initially, I was still like trying to use my BlackBerry, and I liked it so much, and all that, and all the people around me were like, "No, no, you got to do this, you got to get that, or that." You know, even quickly after the iPhone came out, you had like competitors trying to make their own, like a Samsung version or whatever it is. It's like let's just say that if somebody didn't get the Apple iPhone, then maybe a lot of people went to the Galaxy, to Samsung Galaxy, but
mm,
BlackBerry was out.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah, it
BlackBerry
was
was
toast.
absolutely out. He changed the industry.
And you know, it all started with the iPod. You know that somewhere in Cupertino, just some regular guy, I used to have friends that worked at Apple. They were just playing foosball in the hallway, and Steve Jobs is walking by, and they held their iPod and say, "Wouldn't this be cool if it was a phone too?" And
Yeah.
bingo, like I don't know if that's how it happened, but
Well, there were a lot of different prototypes that came through over the years, but yeah, I mean the thing was with the iPhone that it was by no means the first smartphone. There were other
no.
phones out there that had similar functionality. There were other phones out there that had some different and interesting technologies built into them. But what happened with Apple and with Jobs and with Johnny Ive and with that whole team is that they said, well, here's all of these really great technologies. What if we put them together this way? Right. And it wasn't something that nobody else had done before, but a lot of the other, trust me, I had a couple of those quote unquote smartphones.
Like the Symbian ones, like the Nokia
Lord.
N95 and
Oh.
93. Yeah.
Oh, I had the one of the Windows phones.
Oh,
The before iPhone, when Windows CE phones had one of those.
Right, the Windows
and-
phone. I remember that.
And then for a short time I had the Palm Treo. So
oh yeah. I had a couple of Palm
Yeah.
Pilot based phones too.
yeah, I had the Palm one. But yeah, no, they took, I think, and really the revolutionary thing for them was that capacitive touchscreen. Because all of the other devices up to that point were using like stylus based things, or they had the screens that were you could touch them, but it was a pressure based thing, right? And when
Yeah,
they
the
got
resistive.
they got that glass instead of the resistive thing. They had that capacitive based screen that was magical. I mean, I handed that because I had the very first iPhone. I had some money put back, and when that came out, I was like, I'm buying one.
Did you save it?
Unfortunately, I did save it, but it got dropped. Why I gave it to my wife, and it got dropped after that, and so I still have it, but it's all busted up, unfortunately.
Well, in any case, I don't know how much it's
Yeah.
worth. It's too
It's
bad
worth nothing.
you had it
but I would,
sealed.
yeah,
If you
it's-
have like the original one in a box sealed, apparently that's worth money.
it's
I
worth
am
a ton. Yeah.
Yeah.
I regret. How am I always so stupid that I didn't buy something like that and just hold
Yeah.
on to it?
Well, at this point, you would have had to take the battery out anyway, or it would have swelled up and
could have
exploded.
swollen up and stuff. Yeah.
That's what happened to my iPhone 3. I kind of kept it safe, but I noticed the glass was sort of bending and bending and bending. And
Even if I never used it and if I never opened it, never turned it on, it would still do all of this that you're saying?
no, if you kept it in the
can.
box,
It can, but not likely.
Yeah, it has a better chance of being in good shape if you never used it. But of course, I was using mine, so
No, I'm saying like factory sealed.
yeah. I mean, it can, but it's less likely.
Factory sealed. I wish I would have just gone and bought one and left it in my, living room and never touched it.
Well, didn't you have to sign up for you would have had to sign up for a phone account with AT&T originally,
It's
right?
all worth
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh.
It's all worth it, man. I
Okay.
would have signed up for whatever you want.
You would have.
It's just like today, I'm sorry that I played Zelda and like Super Mario Brothers. I wish I would have, I mean, I was a kid, but I wish I had 2 copies of each and then I could keep one and just keep it factory sealed. And then some of these things would be worth a lot of money today.
Yeah, you would have been better off putting the price of an iPhone into Bitcoin when it first came out. You would.
That's
have
true.
a
That
lot
would
of-
have been good.
Oh, and speaking of users, one of the things that the BlackBerry they never quite caught up on is they always had a hard limit to their user capacity, and they were always sort of fighting, like they were always kind of at their maximum capacity, and you have to keep adding servers in order to, and towers and bandwidth. Like they never really had any headway for expansion. They always had just as many users as they could support. So it slowed down their expansion. I don't think that would have saved them from the iPhone, but it might have bought them a little more time. I don't know.
Speaking of iPhone, today there was Andor, like a season premiere, season premiere of the second season of Andor. Did you end up watching it? Because I know as the Phobos, you were telling me if we were going to talk about it, and really only after you sent your text, I put on the first episode.
Yeah.
Professor R2 watched the first episode. I didn't even see the final few minutes of my episode because we had to start the stream, but I got the main idea. Did you see all 3 episodes, as the Phobos?
Oh, no, man. I could barely make it halfway through the second one. It was just so god-awful boring, and and the sort of the yeah, like I had trouble getting into the first season. This is all of that and worse. I mean, it was a real struggle to get through between the um, body positive TIE fighter mechanics and the special needs hillbilly rebels. Like the writing in this thing was just atrocious. Um, and you know how the character can never be more intelligent than the writer.
Yeah.
So, boy, you can kind of tell that going through. But my guess is that they brought in somebody else to write all the Imperial security stuff, because there was a definite. Now, this I don't know. Are we doing spoilers or?
Let's talk about the first episode, because that's
Okay.
all we've seen. I don't mind. I guess there's 3 episodes. We're going to talk about the first one. Maybe it'll be considered a spoiler. Honestly, there's not much to spoil.
Yeah.
I was really, really bored. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what annoys me? And then I'll let you just say your thoughts. When I watched the first season, what I thought to myself was I went between thinking that's a pretty good idea to I'm bored. And that's how I felt throughout most of this series. Now, there were moments that I liked about it, but man, does it take time to get to the point? I feel like if you gave me the first season of Andor and you let me just like re-edited it, I would have probably been able to give you a season that's half that length.
Oh,
And
yeah.
maybe it would have been like more interesting to watch. Every single scene seems to like last twice as long as it needs to, and I was hoping that maybe they learned a lesson and they're like, okay, no more games this season, hit the ground running. And you know what, I didn't feel it. That first episode, it starts off, he's with that he's stealing a TIE fighter. What is it that he's doing? I don't.
Yeah.
He's stealing it. He doesn't know how to fly it, but he's trying to steal it, and then he ends up with those what you call the hillbilly
special needs rebels.
special needs rebels, or whatever you want to call
that'd
them.
be one way to put it.
And then at the same time, you have this other snoozy thing with Mon Mothma and her daughter's wedding.
And the nunnery. Oh my God! Like that was the first time I fell asleep.
I was struggling, you know what I mean? Really struggling, and I'm like, come on, just do something already. This is really boring. And then there was something else. What was it? There was some other nonsense.
The Imperial
Wedding.
talking
listen.
about the propaganda campaign against the Gorians or
The Gorum,
Against the
whatever.
spider web people.
The spider thing, that was boring to me also. It's just like I just feel like there's a bunch of member berries and the emperor, and you're like, oh, it's Krennic, oh, it's the emperor. I mean, man, I don't know what to tell you. I barely even remembered what happened in the last Andor.
yeah.
I don't even, did they even have a recap, or maybe I just skipped it? I don't really know. It started and I'm thinking to myself, where do we leave off again? I barely remember these characters. Then they have that one that's like that her name is like Adria or June or whatever her name was. I don't know what that actress is.
Adria Arona Bix.
Now, the only thing I'll say about this show is the actress that plays Bix is actually pretty, but they know that, so they want to make her look dumpy anytime you look at her, which is very odd. But that is something that happens on the show as well. But I couldn't even. She had like PTSD, and then she was talking to some guy. I don't even know. This was all so boring. Is it just me, or was I really bored?
No. And I do want to give a shout out to Paul Chatto, who predicted that they were going to take the one hot woman from the first season and make her look ugly, and damn if he didn't nail it.
They really had to make an effort. That's a pretty lady. Like if you look at her in like interviews and stuff that she talks, she usually looks very pretty. I looked at her, I'm like, what do you want from her? At least give her the minimum makeup treatment.
Oh, she's smoking hot. She was in that Glenn Powell movie Hitman. She was the female lead.
She looks nice. She was a nice looking lady. Probably Kathleen Kennedy can't sleep at night knowing that there's a woman on this production that looks good. She probably like wakes up in the middle of the night and calls like producers. Maybe she calls Tony Gilroy or whatever his name is and says, listen, I can't sleep. You have to make that woman look ugly. Like, you can't make her look good. Gotta combat the male gaze. I bet he gets calls at 3 a.m. Tony Gilroy is like sleeping, and she calls him. You got to make her look ugly. You got to make her look ugly. That's what I feel like when I watch this stupid show.
Yeah, she wakes up in a cold sweat. It's like, I felt a disturbance in the male gaze toward my show. You have to fix that.
It's like, let me show you a picture. I wish can you find what she looks like that they tried to make her look ugly? Let's look at the actress for what's her name? Adrian
Adria Arana, AJ,
Adria Arjona. I was close. I say Adrian Arjun. Her name is Adria Arjona. Anyhow, she is a pretty lady. Let's see if I can.
So I have a confession, which is when I watched season 1, I did a lot of fast forwarding and skipping. Even though I remember the season fondly, I sort of did a lot of on the fly editing. Like, you'll notice with every establishing shot, the camera just sort of self-indulgently hangs on the scenery, just a few seconds too long. It's like everything about the show just sort of drags out. And that was equally evident in these first 2 episodes. Yeah,
there you go, Bryce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like her. She's a pretty lady. Woman. I have no issue with her. I don't know why.
She's got a beautiful smile too.
She is very pleasant, and I'm telling you that even with Kathleen Kennedy waking up in the middle of the night and making them make her look ugly, she still doesn't look ugly. But you're just thinking to yourself, why do you keep doing this? They're so petty over there at Lucasfilm. Not to mention that almost any other lady you see on screen, they try to make her not look good. It's like, listen, I know that like Star Wars, the focus isn't that like all the ladies have to be beautiful, but man, you don't have to go out of your way to try to make them look bad. And even there were other women. Some of the women they choose are just not like, again, I'm going to be very careful here. Some of the women they choose may not be the best looking ladies to begin with. The ones that accidentally like manage to get there that actually look nice, that becomes like a code red. You know what I mean? Like there's red alert. They have to go and like bring a team of people to make her look like not good.
The only one allowed to look good is Kathleen Kennedy's self-insert. And my guess is that would be Mon Mothma for this show.
I see. Yeah, maybe Mon Mothma is her insert. That's probably her insert.
Could be.
But I have to say, there was no recap. It started off and it looked like there was going to be action. You saw the TIE fighter and you saw Lizzo waddling her way underneath to check out some engine lights or something. And then you find out that a guy is going to steal it who doesn't even know how to fly the thing. What kind of it?
Well, not that he doesn't know how to fly the thing. Clearly, it's shown that this is kind of different. This is a different ship. It's you would have had to train specifically on flying this because it doesn't fly like everything else. He's very confused by it. Later on, there's another character very confused by it. But literally, she doesn't even bother to tell him. This flight system is different. It's going to be very difficult for you to fly.
Yeah, exactly. Which is that he's obviously had this relationship with the technician. So even though he didn't get hands-on, he should have been completely briefed about all the changes and what to expect. And talk about confused, though. That's the one look Diego Luna carries through the entire show. Just this sort of dazed and confused look. No matter what he's doing or where he is.
What relationship? You're saying that this girl that he talks to at the beginning, he doesn't have a relationship with her?
No. He had sort of a handler spy relationship. He recruited her. Obviously, like he didn't just meet her in that room. Like obviously they had been working on her recruitment.
Right, but it didn't look like he was how should I say this nicely, Sean? It doesn't look like he was banging her. Is that like a polite way to say it?
Yeah, no. But it did. She did bring up, we'll pretend we're flirting. Like, because a guy that looks like that. I was like, I don't think anybody's going to buy that. But no, but I mean, they're planned to steal the thing, and she is the technician mechanic. So at the very least, like Professor said, he would have been briefed on all of the differences and how to do it. But
even just warned.
Yeah.
Say, hey, just so you know, this ship is using a very different system
Control
to pilot
system,
it.
yeah.
You may have difficulty. Nothing. There's nothing about that. They just talk about how brave she is. And
Yeah.
everything.
And then
worth it to die? If I died now, would I think it's great? Of course, you love dying.
If you
but his
The
eternal look of
dumbest scene was like written by a 5-year-old. Sorry.
Yeah. No, his eternal look of confusion served him well during the moment that he stepped into the ship. But unfortunately, that's the look he always has. Like when he landed and the hillbilly special needs rebels, and he's looking like the guy just always looks lost and confused to me.
But before we touch upon that, I just want to first of all, I want to say, Jeanette, he's right. It's nearly impossible to make a beautiful woman ugly on camera. I think that with this Adria Arjona lady, in spite of all of their efforts, she's still, you could tell she's a pretty lady. But they're really trying. And as far as I just also want to clarify here, I'm not suggesting that I myself, and I've said this before, I'm not suggesting that I'm a supermodel or I like model Calvin Klein, although today probably Calvin Klein has like fatzos and stuff. But you know what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that I should be on the show. I'm not saying that I need to be in a Star Wars. I'm saying that the people that appear on the Star Wars, like on any kind of property, should probably be appealing people. That's what people like to look at. You want to see men and women that are like kind of glamorous, and you want to see that as part of the adventure. It's nice when people look nice. You know, they don't have to look like you. On the contrary, personally, I prefer that they don't look like me. So I just want to clarify that here, because if you're, it's not that I'm judging and saying that if there's average people looking people out there that they're not okay or there's anything wrong with them. I can say that about myself too. I'm just saying that if you're getting paid millions of dollars to be on some show, and the show itself has a budget of like hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're trying to bring all this kind of Hollywood glamour and whatever to it, you want to see people that look good. And I don't know what this obsession that they keep trying to make people ugly all the time. Just really annoying.
Yeah, it should be aspirational. There's a reason for 100 years they've gotten good-looking people to advertise clothing and makeup and products.
Right.
If I want to see ugly, I'll either look in the mirror or go to Walmart. It's like I don't need that on the
I just want to zero in. I want to talk about the plot because some people may not have watched it and may not even plan on watching it. So I just want to say it starts off. The first scene, I think, is Andor talking to this lady. This woman that she's like a new rebel to the cause or something, and she's like, is it worth it to die for the cause? And he says whatever he says. The next thing you know, I think he's in that TIE fighter that he's trying to steal, but like you said, he doesn't know how to fly it. He gets into some battle there with with some stormtrooper types.
Yeah, he learns quick because he's somehow able to defeat 2 experienced hotshot pilots that should have been able to blow him out of the sky easily.
Right. And then there's this one guy that he's like a bigger stormtrooper than usual that has like a bazooka type of thing, like a space bazooka.
Yeah. Apparently, yeah, I guess they're on a snowy planet. So they have the guy with the furry stormtrooper armor.
So weird. So they have that going on. And then what happens is that he manages at the end to somehow get out of there. He destroys the wall. He manages to discover a few buttons. And then he's sort of on a cliff, but he manages to drop and he somehow gets out of there. So we had that scene. You had something with like Bix having like some weird PTSD, and that like trash can robot like... Andor Cassian will be here soon, and he will know that she has weird dreams. And they're like, don't tell him anything. And I'm like thinking, who gives a shit? Sorry, Sean. But that was some scene that you had there. Next thing you know, I think there's like Mon Mothma, who's like, oh, I have to plan my daughter's wedding.
I hate my husband. He's so mean, and my family doesn't appreciate me.
And also, like, why is Alexander Skarsgård? Why is Stellan Skarsgård here? I don't want him here. And then, like, Stellan Skarsgård is like, where's Cassian? You have to go and find out the messages. And she's like, I can't do that from here. His assistants or whatever it is. So there's something about, they're at this thing where I guess Mon Mothma is trying to plan for her daughter's wedding or something. Who gives a shit? And then, sorry, Sean. And then you have Skarsgård's character. I don't remember. Luthen. I don't even know what his name is.
Yeah, he's Luthen.
Yeah, Luthen.
He's over there. I mean, Skarsgård is probably the best actor in this entire show. I'll give him that. But man, I don't even know what I was looking at or why it was interesting. It kind of bored me. Then it jumped to this meeting with the Empire that, like you said, they're watching these kind of propaganda movies, and they're talking about Gortham, whatever.
The propaganda movies that looked like they were filmed on an 8mm.
Yeah. Can I make an interjection here, because
Sure.
The meeting had a very uncomfortable resemblance to the Wannsee convention from World War II, where a very mean man with a mustache had all of his guys meet in secret to figure out the last answer to a problem, i.e. a final solution. And I actually thought, okay, that's kind of creepy. I appreciated that. In fact, the only parts of the show, not all of it, because again, these characters are written by idiots, and so they sound like idiots. But the interaction between Krennic and our blonde, Empress Intel Barbie from the first show, that was the only thing I found engaging. When he took her aside and he's like, tell me what you really think. You're not as hard to read as you think you are. Like, that interaction I actually found engaging. So for about 2 minutes, 30 minutes into a 50-minute episode, like, it got my attention for a couple of minutes. And she is a good actress, and the guy who plays Krennic,
that's a good actor too. I'm not saying there's some good actors on this show. I also don't think Mon Mothma, the actress, is bad. I think she's fine. There's some good actors here. Actually, the weakest link for me is Diego Luna as Cassian Andor.
Absolutely.
And the main reason, and I feel like I'm going to say something and it may offend some people. This is what I always say, and I'll say it again. I think his English, it's not his first language. He doesn't spend enough time here. And that's what makes his delivery of lines always kind of unconvincing and sort of wooden. And there isn't enough like charisma and charm to sort of overcome that. I've seen him in stuff in Spanish, and I think that if it's a Spanish-speaking movie, he's usually pretty decent. I think that he performs much better in his native language. There are actors that like they can do both languages, or at least a pretty decent performance in a different language. For me, he's not one of them. I think that if it's in Spanish, he's good. If it's in English, he's not very good. And man, he is not a good fit for this role. He never has been, and he's not a good fit now. If you had somebody like with a kind of charisma and like on-screen presence of like a Glenn Powell playing his role, both in Rogue One and until today, people would have liked him a whole lot more. I think that you needed a different type of vibe for this character, and Cassian Andor and Diego Luna, never a good fit for me, personally.
Yeah, well, the guy has... Here's the thing. He's a good-looking guy, but he is a charisma vacuum. He has the screen presence of a bowl of cold oatmeal with a sock in it. I cannot. It's like,
oh, Cassian, you're so handsome. If the Imperials come, just pretend we're making out.
Like, the way you did the dialogue, that's pretty much how it read on the show, man. It was awful.
And it was awful. But if you ever saw like Narcos Mexico or something like that, and you see him like speaking in Spanish, that was a role that was a whole lot better for him. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this guy, when he does stuff in English, it's outside of his comfort zone. Also, I have no way, maybe I'm wrong, I have no way of knowing this. I'm 99% sure, just based on my instinct here. This is a complete dude, trust me, bro. I don't think the guy lives in America. I think that he lives outside of America, and the only time he speaks English is when he arrives to be on Andor. And then he stands there and he delivers the lines in English that he was given. When you're not really living and breathing this language, and you're just sort of here to kind of, you're trying to read these lines and they're not coming out convincing, that's what's going on with him. Now, if he was maybe more of a side character that just has a few sentences here and there, maybe it wouldn't be as noticeable. Like Donnie Yen in Rogue One, I really liked him there. I don't think his English is very good, but he has a certain cool vibe to him. At least he kind of has that kind of on-screen presence. And whenever he has a few lines or he does something, it's cool. But Diego Luna maybe doesn't have that natural presence, at least not in English, and he delivers the lines poorly. And that is not good for a main guy that's supposed to carry this show.
Right. I think his physicality is affected when he's speaking English, a lot like Squid Game on Acolyte. Like, he does have charm. He is capable of commanding the screen. But I think that may be what is leading to his kind of his constant look of confusion. Like, where am
He
I?
doesn't
What am
have
I
the
doing?
confidence. Maybe
Yeah,
when you're
yeah.
speaking a language that's not your first language, and also I don't think you're great at that language, you start feeling uncomfortable. Like, let's look at it from a different way. If I was now in a movie and I had to speak Spanish and I was the lead actor, okay? I need to speak Spanish. I'm the lead actor of like something that they're spending $100 million on or whatever it is, like every episode, probably like $10 million. I'm getting paid all this money and it's all on my shoulders. The name of the show is me, okay? It would be like Price of Reason, the Star Wars Price of Reason. And then like every scene I have to speak in Spanish. And it would make me very nervous. I wouldn't be very
Yeah.
confident. How could I come out and be like, "Andale, señora"? Like, I don't know. Like, nobody would believe it. You know what I mean?
Donde está la biblioteca?
Donde está?
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense. But and he lives in Mexico City, by the way.
It doesn't surprise me. It looks like he never speaks English to anyone. I'm not saying it because you're like, oh, you're an istophobe. Nothing personal, istophobe. You're an istophobe. It's not anything like that. I don't believe him. I believe he's not connected. He was given a piece of paper and he's saying the words that he was given, but I don't quite believe that he really knows what he's saying.
That makes so much sense. Because
I think I could do Spanish. Okay, maybe I can't. But I think that maybe if I was given Spanish, I could do it a little more with confidence than him in English.
Well, he didn't even bother getting an accent coach or practicing. And I mean, the fact is that the dialogue is not reading correctly from his expression. And so, I didn't even consider that was the problem. But you know why he was cast and why he had the role and why he was cast in the original role. And maybe he didn't look Spanish enough, so they had to make sure, they had to make sure everyone knew that he was Spanish. So
yeah,
it's just
un hombre muy
importante,
señora.
That sounds kind of sexy, I have to say.
I could do it. I'll just walk around and be like, "Hola, señora."
Hola.
Like, you know what? I think that if you gave me the Spanish thing, you gave me some sheet of paper to say, I may be able to deliver it with more enthusiasm than Diego Luna delivers his line in English on Andor.
Cassian, sweep me off my feet, but the script hasn't given me much to work with.
That's Genevieve O'Reilly's problem. She's a great actress, but she's got nothing to work with here.
Señora, quiero un sándwich de pollo empanizado. Con lechuga, con tomate.
¿Por qué?
A young...
Poco de mayonesa y poco de mostaza para llevar.
Yeah.
I could do it. I could fucking do it. Sorry, Sean.
No, can you imagine if a young Antonio Banderas was playing Andor? Like, Vex would be needing a new towel every 5 minutes.
I mean, they did have, it's funny because they had Benicio del Toro. He actually does know how to speak English, and I like that actor. They gave him the worst role in the history of Star Wars.
That role is terrible.
Most people don't even remember that Benicio del Toro was actually in The Last Jedi. He's so forgettable that you don't even remember. You have to struggle for a minute to remember that he was in that movie.
Yeah, I actually I was going to bring up him after Antonio, and I totally forgot that he was in Star Wars.
Yep. Overall, I thought this episode was a real dud.
And the second one isn't better.
Yeah. So
how did the first one end, Professor? Did you see the end of the first one? Because I was in a hurry and I also already didn't see the last few minutes. How did the first one end?
The slow rebels. There's another word I might use, but I'm not going to do that. The slightly unintelligent rebels that Andor is dealing with on that planet, they basically devolve into infighting and they're shooting each other.
Yeah, they really do look like a bunch of inbred hillbillies, like on the side of a mountain. It's like
So wait, who are
Hillbillies,
they
whatever you
shooting?
wanna call
Who
them.
were they shooting?
each other.
What
They
and where was Andor in all this?
he starts sort of after the shooting starts, he just scrambles away as much as he can because and then a couple of guys go with him. But that ends up that little part of it, and then it also goes back to the wedding, and you see Mon Mothma, because remember, this whole thing is the wedding of her daughter, and it's an arranged marriage, which is tradition on their planet, in their culture. And so and she's being married to a political ally, his son. And anyway, she's being married off in this, and she's been real excited. The daughter's been real excited up till this point, but now you see her, the Mon Mothma finds her daughter in the corner crying because she finally met the guy, and he's not everything that she thought he would be. She says he's a child. He wouldn't even hold my hand.
What is this shit? What is
It
this?
was like,
Dynasty?
yeah.
What are we talking about here? This is like sounds like a pizza. I'd missed this. I think that I already didn't have time at this point. Does this really happen?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Doesn't
basically
sound Star Wars for me, to me. I don't know what this is.
it's Star Wars Downton Abbey, or what's that other show?
Oh,
What's
some stupid teeny drama shit.
what's the other show they made fun of on where it's like the 17th century, and except it's very diverse.
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
Yeah, this
They're
is
going
like
for the Bridgerton crowd.
this is
good luck.
Coruscanterton. It's
Good luck to Kathleen Kennedy, who's trying to appeal to the Bridgerton crowd with Andor.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to say another thing that I thought to myself while watching it. All of these shows, including Andor, require goodwill from me as a viewer. Now, I'm thinking to myself, the last thing I watched was just the original trilogy, and let's say the prequels, and that's all I ever saw. And you told me there's a series now taking place that's like right before A New Hope. And it's called Andor. And let's say like I watched like the first season this season, as boring as it is now, I probably would have given it like so much leeway. You know what I mean? Just hoping that it's somehow going to be interesting. I would have given it a ton of leeway. It would have gotten so much goodwill out of me if I was at that situation then. But now I just am not in that position anymore. I know I'm sorry that it's this way, because like I am a different person today than I was 10 years ago. I'm a different person anyways, but I'm a different person when it comes to Star Wars. 2015, you could have like shown like a Star Wars logo with a bunch of crap afterwards, and there would have been a lot of positivity for me. Not endless, but there would be a lot of positivity for me because of how much I wanted to see Star Wars, anything Star Wars. But I don't feel that way anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've had 10 years of Lucasfilm telling us what shitty people we are.
Right. And I
Sorry,
think that
Sean.
people are tired. I'm just tired. The other thing that I noticed while watching this episode, like there was a point that Mon Mothma is walking, and I'm like, okay, is there going to be like a girl boss coming here? Is this and that? The fact that my mind even goes there, that as I'm like killing time, that they're just wasting space where she's walking from one side to another in some long shot. I'm thinking, okay, what propaganda are they going to push here? Be on alert for propaganda. What is this? Where's the agenda? I really think these things. And it's almost like an instinct now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has
like,
to be. It has to
I'm
be.
so ready. I'm surprised if there isn't an agenda in a scene. That's
that
how
happened.
Come to.
That happened a lot in the Imperial Security meeting.
It did,
like,
yeah.
You can tell, like, this is something that Trump would do. So,
can you explain to me how a galactic empire can be energy independent?
Yeah, and can you also explain to me how a guy building a space station for 10 years just now figured out that he's going to need this mineral that's under the ground in some backwater planet, and why is the Empire, they just don't go and take it? It's very poor resource management for the construction crew there, which leads me into my big point was this doesn't feel like a galaxy far, far away. This feels like what a 15-year-old's idea of international politics is like.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
overly
great.
simplistic. Yeah. But, Star Wars always had an otherworldly quality to it. And that was intentional. Lucas, he didn't want zippers. He didn't want regular doorknob. He wanted to make it, obviously we're
Mhm.
bipedal humanoids. We're going to need certain form follows function kind of stuff. But he wanted to make it as far away from our world as possible. And with Disney Star Wars, we get IKEA chairs, we get modern United States politics and political agendas, and it just doesn't. I didn't feel like I was watching a galaxy far, far away. Not to mention, sometime long ago, I felt like, okay, this is like the next 50 years, and Trump is the emperor.
There's a lot of that. There's an awful lot of that. It's silly. And I mean, I'm going to say there are some things that I did enjoy in the show. First of all, the CGI that was done for this is top notch, as many of the Star Wars productions have been. Not all, but many of them. It looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, visually
really
it's
good.
exquisite.
Visually it's great, and the cinematography fantastic, really well done. There is the sort of the opening action scene with him going from not knowing how to pilot a ship to being able to outrun two trained fighters. Rather silly, but it looks really good. It's well done.
That whole scene was 15 minutes long, and I felt like
it went on way too long.
When I'm watching something and I'm thinking the director must be thinking this or the writer must be thinking that, I've lost immersion, right? I'm not in the universe.
Yep.
I'm in the space of analyzing the creator's mistakes. And here's like, let's start off with a really exciting action scene. But because none of the events leading up to it make any sense whatsoever, all you can do is say, well, this shouldn't be happening. Yeah, it looks great. The visuals, especially the wide exterior shots. But I also have a suspicion the cinematographer knows how good it looks, and that's why he's self-indulgently leaving the camera lingering on every scene. And it has the same pacing issues as the first season of Andor.
Yes,
which really killed it. That's why
Yeah.
it didn't get good viewership.
Yeah, that seems like it's going to continue to be a problem in this second season. This first episode, for all of the moments that I thought were worthwhile, and not all of the dialogue was the worst dialogue. It's certainly not up to snuff with some of the best dialogue we got in the first season. Some of the incredibly good writing that we got in the first season, but still, just the okay, so we get him stealing a TIE fighter, then we get preparing for a wedding, and then we get some people on a backwater planet,
Imperial spider propaganda,
that the Imperials are now coming and they're gonna audit their crops or something. Like, and then we get the audio visual presentation where they argue, and then you get my favorite part of that particular scene was when they come back and they have the journalists who hop up and are like, oh, here's how we're gonna spin this. You just see what we can do. We're gonna make them look up. And it's like, oh dear God, stop.
The original Star Wars, it was heroic action adventure, and this feels like the paperwork version of Star Wars, where we have to fill out all the forms.
Well, here's what I think, and this is one of the problems with Lucasfilm until now in general, especially with these shows. They can't deliver that kind of Star Wars feeling. Andor, it's missing that component of playfulness, of fun, of Jedi, of anything. It's very much like, look, we're very gritty. Look, we're very gritty. And fine, it's okay. But it's really nice if you could see a little bit of that other thing, and it wouldn't just be the gritty thing. At the same time, they haven't done anything good with the Jedi part. If you thought like Ahsoka was supposed to be like a Jedi or anything, that was crap. So they're not good. They don't know how to do I don't even want to mention the Acolyte. They
Yeah.
don't know how to make like cool Jedi stuff.
Oh yeah,
When
no.
it comes to this thing, the gritty stuff, Tony Gilroy is a competent showrunner. He has some gritty things. It's not all crap, like you said. The visuals, the CGI. You could tell this guy isn't a bum. I thought that when I watched the original Andor, but man, he's not a Star Wars person at heart. And I think that at the end, that component of a little bit of Star Wars playfulness is missing for me. And it certainly isn't helped by the lead performance by Diego Luna either.
You have to remember, this show cost as much as Rings of Power. We're talking $650 million for seasons 1 and 2, at least. I mean, I'll give it credit. This, you actually see the money on screen, which you don't do with
you don't
other
see with
Star
Rings
Wars
of
shows.
Power, but it doesn't feel like it was worth it at the end.
No, but to its credit, I've not seen a single lesbian space witch yet.
Well,
Not
careful
yet.
what you wish for. I'm
Not
sure
yet,
they'll be coming
but
in the
yeah,
next
no.
episode.
Yeah. Oh God, you mentioned Ahsoka. That Ahsoka tore out my soul. I think that show. I still had just this lingering flicker of hope that Star Wars could be saved, and Ahsoka just snuffed that out.
Yeah, Ahsoka
that was the end for me.
By the way, I just want to say, Robot Head, shout
there he
out.
is.
Hey, Robot Head.
I still
Head.
have to watch the new Andor. I'm not excited. Actually, when we started talking about it, I thought of him, and I thought if he was around, maybe he'd seen it and he had some thoughts on it. We would have loved to hear it. But Andor. Imagine that Andor seems so like such a snooze that even Robot Head, which at some point was a huge Star Wars fan, doesn't even feel like watching it. And I think that's just nobody can even remember what that first season was about. Nobody's excited about this. This is a show also. It feels like between season 1 and season 2, 70 years went by. And even that first season came 70 years after Rogue One. And even in Rogue One, everybody died. And even in Rogue One, before everybody died, this is a character that was forgettable and boring. This is such an ill-conceived idea. It's sort of like it's ill-conceived, but competently made, somewhat competently made.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Robot Head's video on this because it's going to be funny as hell. Like, get to it, man. We need some laughs. It really, like I said, it's very well done paperwork. All of the spreadsheets,
very well done paperwork. The thing is that Robot Head is my litmus test, because Robot Head, even as things were bad or whatever it is, like even the Acolyte, he sat there the second it was on, he'd watched it. I think like the fact that Andor, he's just like, I'll get to it sometime, is really not a good place for Andor to be. And I wonder what the ratings on this Andor are going to be. I don't think that it's going to have a lot of viewers.
I was excited because one, I remember, only the good parts from season 1. I was, and the trailers looked good. Within 5 minutes of that episode, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what this is. So it managed to kill my enthusiasm in about 5 minutes.
For me, even the lady that was talking to him, if it's worth it to die, I don't know why that felt cringe like right out the gate.
Because it was written by a 12-year-old, man.
It felt cringe. The first scene that's supposed to get me excited, I'm already cringing. Like 20 seconds into the episode, cringe.
Well, this is Disney Star. None of the people act like people. Even the hillbilly rebels, like they don't act like your normal.
We don't take kindly to you.
That would have made more sense than how they acted, which was, oh, the plot has to go here, so you got to do this. Like, nobody's acting with any sort of consistency.
And there's a girl boss. Did you notice there was a girl boss? Like,
oh,
first of all, there's all these like hillbillies. They're like, we don't take kindly to strangers like you around here. And stop it right now. And then they all kind of like Moses with the key. They all like part. And she's like, what are you all doing here?
And she goes, Andor, you have a purty mouth.
So like, they did have a little bit of girl boss there, like if you noticed.
Oh yeah, no, she was the pilot. Yeah, but then she got into the thing and realized I can't fly this.
And when Bix gets cured of her PTSD, she's gonna come fly the ship and rescue everybody.
She's gonna fly better than anybody. Like Andor is gonna be taking notes from Bix.
Oh, okay. That sounded different.
We'll see. I don't know.
I'm
I
honestly,
really did genuinely, although the first season was a mixed bag, I really did genuinely enjoy it. There were some fantastic stories that were told, some good characters.
There were
I'm
some good
hoping
things.
we're going to get some of that in this season, but yeah, this first episode was not it. It was
yeah, just
very uneven. It was a mess. The
E-
whole
e-
thing with the wedding and all this stuff is so dull, and I don't care about some stupid rich kid's wedding. I don't know why I'm supposed to care about
I
this.
want
Just move
action. I want
on.
like
yeah.
nonstop adrenaline pumping, like cool shit to happen. I didn't see any of that here. And I agree with you. The first season of Andor, it frustrated me because there were moments that I genuinely liked about it. And like I said before, if you would have given me the first seasons and told me to edit it, there was a way to cut the length of that first season and make it much better. There were moments that I liked. There were scenes that I liked. Certainly, there was something to work with there, but it was sort of like a show that was working against itself. And
Yeah.
I really, really hope that moving forward after this first episode, this season won't do the same. But I don't have a good feeling about it. It looks like it's
This-
continuing the same mistakes that the first one made.
Yeah, no, this season is not going to be winning back any viewers that skipped out that on the first season, right?
Yeah.
They're not coming back. They're not going to be interested in this. It is
Nope.
especially not after this first episode. I think that anyone who watched the first season and said, "Yeah, not for me. No thanks." If they watch this first episode, they're going to say, "Yep, still not for me." And they're going to walk away.
By the way,
This-
E. Clay Thomason, those girl voices are creeping me out. You must not be watching my Quantum Leap streams. Because that one, if there's a lady, I dub the lady. Like, I will speak whatever she's saying. If there's a dude, I'll be the dude. I don't do the best impressions, but that's what people get, and they seem to be okay with it.
I have always depended on the
kindness of
strangers.
The big killer for me on this episode was when finally Luthen shows up and he's acting like a
Well, he's
dumbass.
undercover. He's his
Oh.
undercover character.
And his undercover character is an idiot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's
Um,
his undercover character. He's a guy who finds and collects rare items, right? And so he sells these really rare items to the wealthy. But of course, in
They
the
better-
background, he's providing intel and he's organizing all sorts of other stuff. But he has his connections to the really wealthy people on Coruscant through these antiquities that he
Yeah,
deals
but
in.
I don't remember him sounding that stupid. They better bring in Andy Serkis pretty quick if they want anybody to get. I mean, he was him and Andy Serkis were the saving grace of the first season. And when you said you wanted action, yeah, me too. But like, I found Luthen's speech one of the most
fantastic.
amazing things.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I told you before that Skarsgård is the best actor on this show. Like, if you told me now that I was making a show and I had to only keep one actor and get rid of all of the rest, I'd keep Skarsgård and and put other people there. There are some other decent actors, but like for me, he's the standout. And there were some good things they did with his character. I thought he's like interesting, so I do like him. But in this episode, I didn't enjoy anything. Like I just, it was all just. It was kind of a chore to watch, but that's just how I felt. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe the next few episodes will be better. I don't know.
Maybe, but I started posting in the Star Wars shill areas of Twitter, and I wasn't even getting pushback, and that like never happens. Like
You haven't
somebody
been
said-
blocked by Kyle Katarn yet?
That guy, like, he lives in my city. I think. I always hope I'll see him in the mall or something, and I don't know.
Discussing Farts said it was great, didn't they?
Yeah, that's one of the things I posted under, and I'm like, not really. They're like, oh, this was blah, and I said, if you replace blah with boring, you sort of get the essence of the stupidity of episode 1. And yeah, maybe they blocked me, but I'm just wondering if they've run out of morale and shill juice. Is that what a shill needs to keep going?
Discussing shills.
Shill energy.
Yeah. That and special access
Yeah.
and merch. Yeah,
couldn't help
I think
notice-
shills run on merch, actually.
Didn't this come out the same day that Kennedy sort of announced when she'll be leaving too? Wasn't that today, or was that yesterday?
I want to respond to this. Double R Star. Star Wars was of its time. It can't be repeated. Would be like asking Waters and Gilmore to go write another Dark Side of the Moon. Now, I will say this though. David Gilmour, until this day, if you give him a studio and tell him to record some music, it's not going to be Dark Side of the Moon. It'll be at least like, pretty pleasant to listen to. There will be probably some cool guitar solos and some pretty good music on it. It's not going to be Dark Side of the Moon, but I think that Gilmour, at least himself, can still deliver something interesting. I recently saw him in concert, and the guy isn't young. Still fun seeing him. So I don't feel like I wouldn't say that Star Wars is at least the same as Gilmour, because Gilmour is still capable of doing something, even though it may not be groundbreaking.
Yeah, it'll be serviceable.
Yes, I guess what I'm saying is I enjoy watching Gilmour perform live more than watching Andor. That's all I'm saying. If we were doing like a equivalent thing,
Sure. We got it. Yeah. Frustrating first episode. Not really. They're going to be doing these in sort of 3-part stories. That's what we've been told so far. So this first story is going to be 3 parts, and then that's going to happen. Then they're going to jump forward a year to something else that's happened.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a totally separate story, obviously tied together through everything that's happened, but it's going to be another different story. And then we'll jump from there into
another year,
into another year, into the last 3 episodes. And then that, according to Gilroy, is supposed to lead directly into Rogue One. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I do think, my guess is that this whole thing that's happening with Krennic here at this point, where they're talking about energy and talking about needing this material and all this stuff, this is going to lead them into discovering a cache of Kyber crystals, and him finding the people to come up with the idea for the super weapon that's going to be part of the Death Star and whatnot. I don't know. We'll see.
I thought it's already well under construction.
Didn't they start putting together pieces for it in the jail?
Yes, but I'm saying that the actual super weapon itself, like they haven't actually found a way to make it work yet.
Oh, so
and this is what is going to lead into them figuring out.
So you're saying the Imperial engineers designed a weapon that they didn't know how to make work, but they started building it anyway?
Could be.
I want to quickly address this Tame Hayes comment. I think Cameron Pasha made the claim that Kathleen Kennedy was leaving in August. I don't believe that. He's made claims like that before and has been debunked. I'll say this. I don't really know the guy like that. He's not a friend of mine or anything like that. But I will say this. A lot of people have thought over the years that in 5 minutes she's leaving, or in a few months she's leaving. And I've heard this over and over for years, all the time. Now, at the end, you keep saying that for like 5 years, that every 3 months you say she's going to leave in 3 months. At the end, one day it'll be true. You know what I'm saying? Will this time it be true? Yeah. Who knows? But
oops. Oh, am I gone? Wow.
Hello. I'm back.
Are we back?
Yeah.
I don't think she's long for this
muted Price. No,
she's not long for Lucasfilm.
No. She is going to be gone soon. Unfortunately, not soon enough. But yeah, I'm certain I think you're still muted, Price.
If she expected this to be the win that she went out on big, I think she's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, no.
Can you hear me now?
There, yeah, we got you now. Yeah.
I wanted to say that respectfully to Mr. Pasha, I'll say this. If it turns out that this time he says it and it'll be true, he's not going to get any props from me. He's been saying that for 5 years.
Yeah.
Now, he's the only one that's been saying it. There's like 70 YouTube channels that every 5 minutes say that every few months now she's going to leave. So I'm not trying to target him personally or say anything bad about him personally, but I'll say that like if she leaves in August, he's not getting a win for me. He's getting
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. No.
not even like a tip of the hat, not like even like a thumbs up. He gets nothing. Nothing
Yeah.
personal. Nothing personal. Nothing personal against the guy. He's getting nothing from me. You can't
That
for 5 years just say that over and over again. I could do the same thing. I could play this trick too. Like I just say like, hey, she's leaving tomorrow. Hey, she's leaving tomorrow. At some point it'll be true.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Cameron Pashaw that made today's announcement, though. It was that other guy. I'm trying to look him up.
No, yeah, it was somebody else. But yeah, Cameron Pashaw. Yeah, at this point,
Oh, sorry, Cameron, but you know what I'm saying.
at this point, if she does leave in August, it's going to be one of those, you know, the even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Right. It is totally an even
it's like-
even the broken clock is
Yeah.
twice a day. At the end of the day, I think that people know that there's supposed to be like a contract that ends in October or whatever it is. She probably has some sick days that they give her back or don't give her back. She lives a little earlier. None of this would surprise me. I would say that between August and October, there's a chance that she'll leave. I don't think that they're going to extend it. But even if they extended it, I wouldn't be shocked at this point. And if they don't, they don't. And whatever happens, it doesn't really matter either. Because even if, let's say, okay, they tell her like you're fired or they make her leave or she retires or whatever it is, this place is an IP graveyard. You know what I mean? There has never been an IP that has been destroyed so badly, especially when it comes to how big it was. Like, considering how big Star Wars was and what it is now, I've never seen another thing like it. And I'm familiar with Star Trek and Doctor Who and all that other stuff, but Star Wars was such a huge brand, maybe even bigger than those other two, and the way it's been destroyed is unprecedented. And it's not easy. It's not easy to do any kind of course correction at this point.
Yeah, it was Jeff Snyder who made the announcement today.
Yeah, Jeff Snyder. I mean, he annoys me. I think he's annoying, but he sometimes he has information. I probably would trust something that Jeff Snyder says more than Cameron Pasha, just because the Cameron Pasha has been saying the thing with Kathleen Kennedy for about 5 years. So I can't really take it seriously. I don't know how he is on other scoofs, Cameron Pasha, and maybe he genuinely believed that she was leaving. I don't know what he heard and didn't hear, but I'll just say that Jeff Snyder usually, even though I don't prefer him and his friend John Rocca and their kind of very shill woke bullshit agenda thing that they do, I don't prefer any of that. But a lot of times when that Snyder said something, there's at least a chance that there may be a grain of truth behind it. So I'm not completely dismissing it. Even then, wouldn't with Kathleen Kennedy, unless like there's unless she's sitting there and saying I'm leaving. Like personally, I see it coming from her. I'll believe it when I see it.
And you have to take into account the Heisenberg uncertainty principle of Hollywood rumor and gossip. She may be leaving. You can't measure something without affecting it. And she may be planning to leave in August, but as soon as somebody says that, she's going to be like, well, screw them. I'm going to stay until the end of the year or at least September. Like, sometimes the rumors have a way of making sure they don't actually come true.
Somebody asked here who Jeff Snyder is. Jeff Snyder is one of those guys that he buddies up and cozies up to all these kind of people that annoy us just enough to kind of try to get a little bit of inside info. And if he gets something, then he shares it. Sometimes what he says is true, not always, but he at least, I think, has a better track record. Relatively speaking, I mean, when he says something, you know that there's at least a chance that it may happen, but who knows? With Kathleen Kennedy, there have been mainstream media articles by big publications that have claimed she was leaving, and then they all backtracked. So
yeah, like Puck, and
Puck. But the truth is, the logic is here. If she was supposed to leave in October, if the thing isn't renewed, there aren't 70 months before October. If she leaves, maybe, like I said, sometimes throughout the years, you have like a vacation before you go, like a paid vacation. Maybe you have vacation days. That could be like a month in and of itself. You know what I mean? That could already be, if it was supposed to be like October 1st, already September could be like a vacation. So maybe she leaves a few days earlier in August or something. It could happen. This isn't really, honestly, with all due respect to Jeff Snyder, also, who I also don't really, I don't want to trash him or anything, but I don't have any extremely positive sentiments toward. Even he is doing the broken clock 2 times a year here. You know what I mean? I don't need Snyder to tell me this. Her contract, she's supposed to be out in October unless they announce a renewal. They haven't announced one. I think that they're not going to renew it for some reason. I think they're not going to do it this time. And at this point, her leaving in August is just like, that would make sense. The only thing that Snyder isn't saying, and I'll say, is there may be a chance, it's very, very likely, that even though she leaves, she still gets to be executive producer on a number of movies.
Oh, she definitely will.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's
she's going to...
That's how you keep breaking in the money.
Yeah, I mean, she's still going to be like an Amy Pascal for a few more movies, a few more productions. So even though she'll leave, they'll do like a premiere of sorts, and she'll be there and be like, yes, it was me. I did all that. I had all these ideas. I knew what I wanted to do. So I already see all that crap happening. So like, and again, the final thing here, and we've said this before, the way that this should have happened is there should be security guards coming to her table, like to her office, surprising her, saying, Kathy, you need to come with us. And then like, that's it. Like immediately there's like an IT team. Like, you know how in ET, when he arrives, when the government arrives to catch ET, and they had those like aluminum foil tunnels.
Yes.
There need to be like people coming in there with like hazmat suits and like taking all the hard drives and whatever, and the FBI are like escorting her out of the building. Maybe like, you know, there's like a van. They have to take her away like off site or something. You know what I mean? That's what I expect. Like if you want it to be, that's what should have happened. Instead, there's going to be the biggest banquets in the world saying that she's the best thing that ever happened. People are going to bow down to her. There will be people like, you know, there's like a salute, like a military salute. You know what I mean? There's like people saluting her, doing like, you know, even like with the weapons, they're holding them and like
they're gonna have Greedo there with a 21 blaster salute.
It's gonna be so annoying watching her take credit for anything over the next 5 years.
They're gonna be like, for she's a jolly good fellow, like on her way out, which nobody can deny. They're gonna be dancing and singing, and there's gonna be like champagne and all this other shit. And that's how she's going to leave. And there will be 70 articles saying, like, the most powerful woman in Hollywood is retiring. She's the best thing that ever happened. She's the best. That's what we're going to see in all the papers and publications.
How stunning. How brave.
How stunning. How brave. It'll be a nauseating festival of bullshit.
Revolting.
And that's how she's
on her own terms. So Jeff Snyder, not impressed with your crap either. Not impressed.
Price, you know how you said you didn't want to be mean to Jeff Snyder?
Yes.
But I kind of feel like the name of his website is cringy enough.
What is it?
It's called the In Snyder.
That is, yes, I remember now. That is kind of annoying.
Yeah, that's enough to be any kind of mean you want to be.
I think I once responded to a tweet of his because he annoyed me, and I wrote something, and like he made it seem either he couldn't understand what I was saying for real, or he was just pretending that he didn't understand.
Yeah.
I wonder what I said to him. I'm curious now what I said to Jeff Snyder. I don't know why this interests me. Let's see for a second if I can find this. Jeff Snyder.
Yeah, we Empress NM has her. This is exactly what we need. We need a lesbian space witch salute. That's who needs to really be praising and saying goodbye to Kathleen Kennedy, because nobody owes her quite the debt that the unseen, unheard lesbian space witches do. So,
well, she wanted to end on a high note. I don't think anybody has the perfect record of 12 money-losing flops in a row like she has.
No.
I mean, what more could you ask for? Like, she is responsible for the movement of billions and billions of dollars, more than any other producer probably. It's just moving in the wrong direction.
Okay, let me see if I can find this guy. Now you guys talk amongst yourselves. I want to try to resolve this mystery.
Well, I did start watching the second episode. I guess we can save that for a later date, but I will just say it's not getting any better so far.
It's not?
So far, no. I'm only about... Listen, the moment any sort of kind of momentum you feel like might be happening, it switches to that Cora Saunterton, that Bridgerton Downton Abbey bullshit, and it hits a brick wall, man. Any momentum is just killed by the terrible pacing, and one, they're trying to give equal time, like, because that's the women's story, right? They're trying to give equal time to events that are not equally interesting. Like more lasers, more action. Like, we don't need to spend the same amount of time at the nunnery as we do at the Imperial Security Headquarters. We just don't.
Yep. Well, while Price is digging that up, I think we've kind of tapped out on Andor. Let's see what else. We got a bunch of stuff that got announced at Star Wars Celebration. We did touch on this just a little bit on Thursday last week because this was all kind of going on while we were there. Mandalorian and Grogu bring the franchise back to theaters after 7 years. Oh boy, just what we wanted. We wanted a TV series to get an hour and a half long episode that got into theaters
with a 75-year-old Sigourney Weaver as the bestest pilot ever.
Bestest ever. Oh, and don't worry. It's going to have all your favorite pilots in there, including Dave Filoni. He's going to be flying a starfighter in your movie. So don't worry.
I think that's one thing we definitely can expect from Andor is some nonsensical cameos, like people just popping up into frame and leaving that, maybe were from Rogue One or whatever.
Or like Zeb Aurelios just popping up in the trailer for Mando movie.
Jabba's little pet guy probably making an appearance. I think we're going to get a lot of nonsensical member berries because that's really all they got.
Yep, and then supposedly the next Star Wars movie is going to be Star Wars Starfighter with Ken himself.
Yeah.
Being directed by Sean Levy. This is the most uninspiring logo I have ever seen in my life. They literally just took like a font and made it italic and stuck it in the middle here.
It's crappy.
And put a lens.
This all feels rushed. All these things, because of how many projects they've canceled, it almost just like seems like some bogus show and tell these kind of days that they're trying to impress investors with projects that that a large percentage of them may not even take place. Some of them that they've been babbling about for years. Charmin ladies, Ray movie,
Charmino,
just a bunch of bullshit. Sorry, Sean. I can't take any of this seriously. And even this thing that they're all like saying Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling to me mean nothing.
Yeah.
My expectations are zero.
Just remember, last year they had Charbade Obaid Chinoy on the stage, right along there with Daisy Ridley and everything. Oh, we're making this movie. Oh, it's the next. We're gonna do this. Nothing.
Yeah, this always happens before.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, this always happens before the investor meeting.
Before the investor calls.
Right.
Yep.
You say it seems rushed because it is rushed. Just like Jennifer Salke doing that 24 hours before she has to make a big announcement. She's on the phone calling people, hey, can we do this thing? Like, it definitely is rushed. They are just flying by the seat of their pants. They'll announce anything because they know they're not even
it doesn't have to come out. So in ongoing development, that means it's been announced like a year or 2 or 3 years ago. We have the film by James Mangold, which is supposed to recontextualize the Force. It's going to show us where the Force came from originally and completely change the origins of the Force.
Oh, is that like Timeless Children Force?
Yeah, essentially that's that's what they're going to do.
James Caserta says it's a pyramid scheme, and Double R Star says the government funding movies now to push their obsessive ideology.
Yep.
I don't know. This is just crap. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, but then so we got Charmin Obaid Chinoy's project, which is supposed to be Daisy Ridley's return, Taika Waititi's project supposedly, which is still in the scripting stages, and then this new trilogy for Simon Kinberg. This is never going to happen. Of all of these things here, this thing with Simon Kinberg never happening.
Oh,
it's just ridiculous.
And don't forget that little tidbit that came out in Discovery a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if you remember, Karen McCarthy originally was going to produce The Acolyte.
Yep.
They hired her. She moved to UK and they let her go 5 days later. Well, she's still suing Disney for screwing her over.
Indeed she is. And she has every right to.
And this little tidbit came out in Discovery just a couple weeks ago. She amended her complaint to add 2 counts of fraud because Kathleen Kennedy had not yet gotten the green light
had
from
not
Disney.
gotten the green light.
And she went ahead and started hiring people without permission to make the show. And that's fraud by misrepresentation and something about bad faith. So
I hope she wins.
Yeah, no, I don't think she's going to lose. None of these projects, I bet, have a green light from Disney except for the Grogu movie. So she can announce what she wants, but until they release the money, nothing's going to be happening.
Well,
but yeah, she may well retire with a sort of a verdict of liable for fraud on her resume. That would be so sweet. But I suspect they're going to end up settling.
I think they will. But I wanted to show this thing because that lady, as opposed to like Carano, is just looking like 100% for the money. Jeff Snyder, this is what I saw in 2023, I guess, when the strike ended. So he wrote, whether you're working in late night or daytime TV, it's back to school, baby. I think we've all missed SNL. No, the Drew Barrymore show, on the other hand. So he misses SNL. And then I wrote, and I guess late night. So I wrote, only shills miss those shows. Oh, wait. So then he wrote, you lost me. And I wrote to him, I guess what I'm saying is that anytime there's a widespread mainstream access media narrative, you seem to support it, or at minimum, most of the time you support it. And then he goes, I don't even know what that means. I like SNL. Watch it every week. Glad it's coming back soon. The end. What support are you referring to? These people aren't on strike. And this was such a dumb answer that I'm just like, I don't even feel like answering this guy. I didn't even feel like going back and forth with him. This answer just like made me not even excited to do like a debate with him. You know what I mean? It was like he was the manifestation of everything I thought he was. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, not going to even waste my time. So.
And they think we can't tell that these 20 or 30 people are all using the exact same language as if it's coming from a press release or talking points.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's funny.
Right.
Like, this is the internet now. You can have them like all in a row. It's like, wow, they're saying the exact same thing using the exact same words.
It's like, oh, you lost me. He didn't understand that he's a shill. He didn't get it. He doesn't know what a shill is. Which part did I lose him at? You know, which part didn't he understand?
Yeah. Where did the disconnect happen?
Right. I mean,
I think that was pretty clear.
Pretty clear. I don't think there's anybody in the world that would see these two tweets and think, what Price of Reason saying? You don't even need to do the thing with Grok that you're like, Grok, what does he mean? Like, this is very, very obvious. Very obvious.
I can see he's typing your thing into Grok. It's like, what does Price of Reason mean here? He means he is insinuating, rather obviously, that you are a shill.
You know
you
what?
also have 6 fingers.
You know what? I'm going to do something playful. You convinced me. It's the force. How do I do this? What do I do?
Copy your reply and paste it into Grok and ask, what does the Price
Grok,
of Reason mean?
Can you explain what Price of Reason is saying? I never use this. How long does it take?
It's usually pretty instant.
That'll be funny.
I don't know if it works like that. You can go to the Grok tab and
there's a little button up on the right.
Yeah.
Do I do this?
Yeah. There you go.
No, but I want it to be that he replies to me, not that I do this.
Oh, here we go. Wow. Are you going to read that?
Okay.
You're influenced by Reason magazine, apparently.
The context of the writer's strike, which delayed SNL's season 48 and blah, 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 fuels Price of Reason's skepticism as Barrymore's decision drew backlash for undermining the Writers Guild of America's efforts per Vox's coverage of the controversy. Price of Reason, possibly influenced by the libertarian-leaning perspective of Reason magazine, Fuck Reason Math. I have nothing to do with them. What is the Grok? I'm really disappointed. Appears critical of Snyder's enthusiasm, reflecting a broader distrust of media figures who align with dominant industry narratives during labor disputes.
Scroll up to the first paragraph. Oh,
what did you say?
There was a whole first paragraph let's see. Yeah, that one. Price of Reason's reply to Jeff Snyder's post about the return of SNL and the Drew Barrymore show calls out Snyder for seemingly supporting mainstream media narratives, labeling those who miss the shows as shills, a term often used to describe people perceived as insincerely promoting something for personal gain.
You know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. Grok didn't do a bad job here, maybe. But I wanted Grok to respond here. When you write to Grok, doesn't Grok have to like respond on the tweet itself?
I've never done it.
I've never used it that way, so yeah, I don't know.
I didn't know it could do that.
Oh, it works.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God.
Price of Reason's comment, only shills miss those shows, was a sarcastic jab, likely targeting... I wasn't targeting Drew Barrymore. It implies only insincere people listen. Okay.
In a way, we all target her.
Possibly hinting at Jeff Snyder's enthusiasm, blah, blah, blah. Grok didn't fully get it correct, but I think that the general... I appreciate Grok's attempt here.
Yep.
And I thought that was pretty fun.
Well, speaking of shills and people that Price of Reason just gets along with so well on X, we can move on to our last topic here. Elder Scrolls Oblivion. This was a wild thing that happened over the last couple of days. What did you hear about this, Price?
Well, I mean, the one thing, I've heard so many weird things. On one hand, I guess this thing has gotten a lot of people to play it, which as opposed to some of these other games, more woke games in recent times, that didn't get people excited, this got people excited. At the same time, I also saw people complaining that they started doing that kind of, they don't want to say if it's a man or a woman, and they start like changing designs and uglifying women and all this weird stuff. So I didn't really know what to make of it, but I thought maybe you know more than me.
Well, obviously, this was a very, very good game in its time. It's a fairly old game. I don't remember exactly what the original release date was. 2007, 6. But this big remaster that's popped up kind of came out of nowhere, although it had been pretty thoroughly leaked that it was coming. They just showed up. Bethesda just said, "Oh, hey, we're going to do a thing tomorrow to talk about it," and then they said, "Oh, it comes out today. Here you go." So it just landed out there, kind of unexpected. It does look nice. I'm not sure that it needed a remaster, but apparently this is what everybody does now. They don't make new games. They just remaster old ones. But this is an article from your buddy Paul Tassi, so thought you would enjoy that.
Yeah, Price, I sent you a photo. I tweeted you a photo of what one of the characters' remasters looks like.
Yes. Yeah, they've done some interesting things with some of the redesigned characters. That's
one way of putting it.
They did do the whole thing where they don't have male and female characters anymore. They have body type 1 and body type 2,
but they still let you discriminate by age, and they have a complexion slider. Not a race slider, a complexion
slider. Yes.
Yeah. Did you see that image, Price?
Which one?
I just DM'd you a before and after of the remaster of Sigrid.
I think I just did see something. Yes. Should I download it?
Well, if you want to show it, I think it's interesting as one way of putting their direction. They decided to take in changing the characters. They clearly turned Sigrid into a... I don't know what that is.
Okay, 1 second. I'll share it right now. And then I'll switch here.
I was going to say Dylan Mulvaney, but it's more like that guy who worked at the White House.
The guy that was like in the army or some military thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the one that liked to steal women's clothes at the airport.
Yeah,
one?
except with hair.
Yeah.
Like who looked at those characters and decided, let's go in this direction? It almost looks like Jason Voorhees wearing a mask. Like, or is that Mike Myers? I get my slashers mixed up.
It's more Mike Myers than Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees has a hockey mask, so...
Oh, okay.
I mean, Mike Myers has a mask also, so it's hard to really say, but I guess if I had to, I'd say that more Mike Myers than Jason Voorhees.
Or Rorschach with makeup. Like, just...
Maybe.
Like, that's a cute girl in the original. She's, I guess, one of the vendors, Sigrid, and NPC.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a girl on the bottom. It's not a woman on the bottom. It is a something.
A something.
Oh, maybe it's somebody from that planet of the spiders from Andor, where they. I don't know.
Could be. Gorman.
I'm gonna have nightmares.
The Gorman spiders. Yeah.
Empress and M. PS2 could surprise you. There was some good stuff there. Have you ever played Tony Hawk Part 3? How about no, that was on Nintendo 64. Donkey Kong World or something? Was there something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, that was 64.
I mean, Mario Galaxy on the Wii looks amazing. You give me a good game with good gameplay and a compelling story, I can live with PS2 graphics. I'm not a frame rate snob.
I still go back and play those games all the time.
I still play Galaga and the original Donkey Kong. So
I like Galaga and the original Donkey Kong. They're very relaxing games.
Yes.
I mean, Galaga, when you do the thing when you have they take one of your men and then like you fire that stupid wasp thing that took your guy and it becomes two.
Yeah,
that it becomes like double. That I think until this day is one of the most brilliant things that ever happened in video games. That you have like two of them and you could fire on those insects. And there's no better
kidnap
feeling.
Your guy, and if you get him back, now you got two ships.
Does it let you do 3?
It doesn't let you do 3. You can only do 2. The only problem is that at some point you're going to have a situation where one of those two is going to get blown up. Yeah. And that's really disappointing. That's the part where as much as you have like this high when you have the 2 and you're kicking everybody's ass, the second you lose one, it's like you're not the same afterwards. You really feel that loss.
I love those old R-Type and Gradius games where you have your little ship and you can upgrade it and you get little shields that revolve around your ship and upgrade your firepower as you're going on.
Oh, shmups.
Yep, the classic. I think R-Type, Gradius, and Polestar are the big 3. Those are very relaxing until you get killed.
Oh, see, those are not relaxing for me at all. I hate those bullet hell shmups. I can't stand them. Part of the problem I think for me is I do have a little bit of color blindness, and so when I'm playing those, and then you got all little power ups and everything you got to pick up, and you're like, oh, I'll grab that power up. Then you realize, oh crap, no, that was the purple one, not the red one, and now I have the wrong type of gun, and I'm screwed. And
yeah, maybe relaxing was the wrong choice of words. Meditative. I can sort of get in the groove of it.
You get in a flow. You get a flow state, right? That's when you really start having fun. When you just sort of now you're one with the game and you just have fun. So, yep.
Okay, you can take that. You can take Mike Myers off of the
So, I think kind of to wrap it up. I've got another screen to share here, Bryce. So.
You do? What is it?
Oh, you just close yours out and we can look at it real quick. It's just looking at the played games. So we've talked about Steam DB a couple of times. Just kind of shows who's playing what, how many people are playing a game on Steam at any given time. So right now, of course, over the last few weeks, Schedule 1 has been a huge game. This has been taken off like crazy, which is kind of hilarious. Yes, it's about like growing and selling drugs. But there's been a lot of people playing this, like suddenly realizing like that capitalism is a good thing. It's fascinating. Like some of these people like going, wait a minute.
It is an interesting rather complex gameplay.
Yeah. And then realizing like, all the government regulation and how it impacts things, and then but like supply, like people suddenly understanding supply and demand is a thing.
Fertilizer, growing acreage, the seasons, harvesting.
It's fascinating. But overnight, the Elder Scrolls Remastered, the Oblivion Remastered has shot up into essentially first place. These three rivals, Dota and Counter-Strike, are at the top all the time. So of all of the sort of current games that aren't these squad-based shooters and whatnot, the Oblivion just sort of shot up to the top. All-time peak concurrent player 182. That's better than double the all-time peak for Assassin's Creed Shadows. So and that's overnight. It's only been out for a day.
Wow.
So,
but by the way, if you're watching this stream wherever you're watching on Rumble, you should sign up for Rumble, and you should also follow us, which is cool. Both of those things are things you should do. If you're on another platform, also subscribe, like, all that stuff is good. I have one final surprise for Instaphobos on our way out. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, but I have to restart. Oh, okay. I want to get the 2 and the 1 man. Oh, this guy already took mine. I did everything wrong. Okay, how do I start again? Okay. Can you hear the sound?
I love that music. It still brings back
the best music ever written.
Nothing like a 8-bit symphony in space.
Okay, I need one of these wasps to take my man, right?
Yep.
I just want to have 2 men. That doesn't sound good. I hope that'll never.
Somebody clip that.
I just want to clarify. I meant that is the worst soundbite.
I hope Vex isn't still trying to sleep.
Melvin is creating sound bites as we speak. I meant that I want to have like 2. You understand what I mean? I don't even know how to say like the double. Fuck. Sorry, Sean.
The sound designers back then did amazing things with 8-bit sound. Oh, here's your chance.
And now is the real deal.
Now you're unstoppable.
This is like the best thing ever. Until this day, like no video game has been able to match this level of excitement. I'm probably gonna lose this second in 2 seconds. If they don't get me, I just want to do this bonus round. Now this is like the real deal.
The challenge day.
I'm rusty. I used to be the best. Now all these flies are just getting away from me. Assholes. Alright, well... Sorry,
37.
I did what I could. In any case, I have the two men. I have the 2 men and I have the thing, and you know what I'm saying. Anyhow, hopefully somebody enjoyed that last minute gaming session we had here.
That brings back some memories. Although it was all pinball when I was a kid. I think I was already graduated from college when Space Invaders came out.
Watching on YouTube, I don't know what that means, but in any case, I want to thank the professor for hanging out, and Istophobos, our guest, for hanging out with us and weighing in on some of that Andor stuff and all the other stuff we were talking. Blackberry to Andor to Jeff Snyder to Galaga.
Well, thanks for having me, man. It's always a blast.
It's always fun, and thanks to everybody in the audience. We had a reboot at some point.
That's all right. I think I got us covered. So
okay.
Let's see. Over on Rumble, we had a bunch of our regulars showing up. It's great to see all of you here. Phantom Monk, Elizabeth Quinn, Studbro Seth 420, Folsom Lockdown, MGS 1985, and
if you're on Rumble,
R
please
Star.
like. It's really important to like because I see people
please.
watching, but we could use a few more likes. But go on.
Yeah. If you're watching over there, and you get the opportunity, please like, and if you haven't yet, subscribe or follow as well. And then over on YouTube, let's see, we got Tim Hayes, Caleb Levine, Void King, The Dead Man, Corbin Dallas, FKHC 2005, Sean Green, Pandi Kolima, Marla Sharondoff, Smilex, Jeanette, DJ Play Nice, Empress NM, Istophobos, I think. The weird names sometimes. Zune RJ5, Watcher X, Stephen Mack, Vex Electronica, Ron Donofero, I have Nudick, NPC Person, E. Clay Thomason, Robnod Scubla, Captain Palsy, Keely Chow, the amazing Robot Head popping in. I did invite. I saw he was active on last Thursday, Price, when they were doing all the Star Wars announcements. He was really active on Twitter, so I shot him a message, said, "Hey, do you want to come bitch about this stuff on with us?" And he saw it the next day. He's like, "Oh, did I miss this?" I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Too bad.
No big deal, man.
He hasn't been as on like all the time online, so I don't always bother him with it. But yeah, it would have been nice.
Yeah,
I would have loved to hear his
no
thoughts.
big deal, man. It was last minute. I just saw you were active. You're always welcome. If you ever want to come chat. So
obviously, he's always welcome.
Even his voice makes me laugh. He could just say, like, I'm so conditioned to start cracking up just when he starts talking. He could probably say anything. I wanted to say Empress NM mentioned something that the women in Monty Python movies were more convincing than that.
I actually watched. Oh, I see what you're saying with Monty Python. Yeah, that's kind of what we sound like. I watched that movie G20, and I don't know why, because I guess in that movie, the actor that plays Homelander, Anthony Starr, he does his regular Aussie accent, and he sounds just like Robot Head. So when he when he keeps telling like Viola Davis what he wants to do, I was laughing. Some people were laughing because the movie is ridiculous. I was laughing because I'm like, that's Robot Head. Robot Head is Anthony Starr. I only made the connection when I watched that movie. I want to redo the movie where I paste like Robot Head's avatar on his face every time he talks. It'll make the comedy even greater. I love that.
Yep. Is that why he keeps his identity secret? He doesn't want to sabotage his Hollywood
career. Yeah. He's actually Anthony Starr. I just learned that.
That's it. Yeah. All right, just a couple more names. Kay Scholl, Kelly Hans, James Caserta, The Devastator, and Cosgrove. And I think I got just about everybody. If I missed someone, sorry about that. But we're
Captain
so glad
Palsy
to have you
and
here.
Dude Bro Seth 420, hopefully you've said.
Yeah, I got Captain Palsy.
Okay.
And you pronounce Rebnar Skubla like
Rebnar Skubla.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've gone through everything. We've done our thing, and now it's time for us to go, I suppose.
Indeed.
So
glad to see everyone here tonight. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your showing up again. If you
good night, Tim Hayes.
give us a like, and hey, leave a comment afterwards, something like that. It's
Anything
always
to
good
help
to help
the algorithms. We
Yeah,
don't
always
ask
good.
for much around here, but if you
Yeah.
feel like liking, if you feel like subscribing or following or doing all that good stuff, we'd really appreciate that. So thanks everybody. Dude World Seth, cheers to you as well. And I guess that's it. We can say goodbye now, right?
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.